Hi everyone, it's Oliver here, and I'm back with Rob Hill, aka the Bad Movie Bible, and stand-up comedian Nick Helm for a commentary on Die Hard 2, Die Harder. Now, we promised we would cover this film at the end of Predator 2, and here we are. So, Nick and Rob, you are both big fans of this sequel, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Well, it's probably my fifth favourite Die Hard film. By a long way. No, it's good. I really like it. I like it. I think it's good.
Yeah, if we're ranking them, it's my second favourite because it's the only one that's a proper Die Hard movie with like Die Hard stuff in it.
Yeah, I think Die Hard with a Vengeance is probably better. But
I agree.
I never bought it's Die Hard in a city. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. No, it's not, is it? It's an entirely different setup.
It's a Lethal Weapon sequel, isn't it? And then they've just reskinned it.
No, it's actually, I think it's supposed to be the sequel to Rapid Fire with Brandon Lee, and it was called Simon Says.
Oh, really? Oh, right, okay. Well, then, I mean, Rapid Fire. What was Rapid Fire? That was just like a guy hitting people, right? And then in the sequel, they went all kind of high concept and was like, right, it's called Simon Says, and there's this guy, and it's just like, well, that's not what Rapid Fire was, right? Rapid Fire.
Or maybe it was like a sort of another standalone action film just tailored for Brandon Lee.
I thought it was a spec script, and then like all of the Die Hard films are based on different things. Right?
Yeah.
So Die Hard 1 is based on. I've got the books here as well. It's based on a sequel to The Detective starring Frank Sinatra, right? From the 60s, and when they were making Die Hard in the first place, Frank Sinatra had first dibs to turn it down, right?
Yeah.
And so he did, and then they were going to go young with it. They tried to cast everyone, and then they got Bruce Willis, the guy off of Moonlighting, right? Then Die Hard 2 is based on 58 Minutes.
Ah, you've got the book.
Which is an unrelated book to Die Hard 1. Then Die Hard 3 is based on a spec script called Simon Says. Die Hard 4 was about I think that was already a film script that was called.
It was kind of like based on a very short story.
I thought it was based on a
like an article or something like that. It was really strange. It was like a very short idea that's been expanded completely by.
It was about the time of the New Orleans flooding. It was about them, and I think it was about that. But also, it was Die Hard 4. It was called something like Crime.com or something like that. It was not to be confused with Fear.com. It was called something like with kind of like a tech name. And then Die Hard 5. What was Die Hard 5 based on? Was that the only one that was just a?
Yeah, I don't think that's based on a existing property.
I think that's the only one that was a Die Hard film from the start.
Yeah, it's not based on anything created by a human.
Which is why it's the best. It's the best one. That's why it's the best one.
So, folks, you can enjoy this podcast by itself, but you can sync it up with your own copy of the film, either on Blu-ray or on streaming, by putting the timestamp to 0 on your copy and pressing play now.
Oh.
Again, with many Fox movies, with these scope films, the Fox logo is all squished. It's in the wrong aspect ratio.
Yeah, right.
I think doesn't Predator do that? Or maybe no, Die Hard 1 does that for sure.
It really, I mean, it's a slightly more modernised 20th Century Fox than I thought maybe the Predator 2 was.
No, I think it's exactly the same. Maybe on Disney Plus have changed it. I don't know.
It looks, I mean, it really dates the film now, doesn't it?
So, Rennie Harlin directing. He was supposed to be doing Alien 3.
He was supposed to be doing Alien 3, wasn't he? Yeah.
Wow. He would have done a good Alien 3.
Well, he wanted to do what the home planet of the aliens, where they came from. But obviously far too ambitious, far too expensive. And he didn't want to do another people running down corridors, getting chased by an alien. So Fox still wanted to work with him. And they offered him Die Hard 2. And here we go.
Because John McTiernan wanted to do it, didn't he? But couldn't because what was he on? I can't remember.
Medicine Man? Was he doing Medicine Man?
It might have been.
Didn't it? I think it may have conflicted with some of the shooting of The Hunt for Red October.
Oh, it was The Hunt for Red October. Yeah.
Well, so then what? He didn't get Die Hard 2, so he did Medicine Man.
Was Medicine Man 92?
Obvious alternative.
Perhaps. Maybe
Oh, how many
91.
films was he making? Hunt for Red October was 90. Anyway,
Yes.
you got John McClane here, Bruce McClane, and here he is.
With Joey's dad. From Friends.
It's obviously Christmas because you've got like the stuff in the background. You see, you've got the snowmen and stuff. But I always, for some reason, thought it was more like Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely is Christmas though, isn't it? Because
I think is this Christmas Eve then?
I think they do refer to the holiday season as well, don't they? At least once.
Because somebody worked out that in Die Hard, when there's one of the terrorists is watching a football match, like an American football match, and they worked out that from the date it would have been late November. So it's not. So that's when like Die Hard is set around Thanksgiving on the build up to Christmas, but this is actually Christmas. He looks so cool in this, doesn't he?
There was originally a choir singing Christmas carols in this scene. They shot a choir singing Christmas carols in this scene, so it's obviously meant to be Christmas, I think.
Yeah, it is Christmas. I think it's Christmas Eve, but the first one isn't technically Christmas Eve.
I think it is, isn't it? I thought it was Christmas Eve. The party, it's Christmas
You wouldn't
Eve
have
party.
a party on Christmas Eve.
That's a good point. Yeah, well, they're Japanese, mate.
You wouldn't have one. Otherwise, here he is, Sadler. Come on.
what a way to introduce a villain.
Amazing, isn't it? Amazing.
Fucking hell.
Doing Tai Chi.
I mean, and when you work out it's the Grim Reaper from Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, it's like, oh my God. It's great. And then, of course, you've got, is it Franco Nero?
Yeah. Oh, that's one thing. I meant to look into what Franco Nero thought about being in this, but I didn't get round to it.
Oh, actually, well, he didn't like the script.
Did he not?
For this?
Fucking hell. The movies he was making in the 80s, and he complained about Die Hard 2.
He does only have, freedom, not yet. So he hasn't really got a lot to do, has he? If you're reading a script just looking for your own lines, then Franco Nero has a right to not like it.
You'd be disappointed.
Yeah.
Franco Zero.
Not as disappointed as John Leguizamo.
Oh, yeah.
He was meant to be like a real character in this, apparently, until they realised he was too short. He's got one line in the whole movie, and that's dubbed, because apparently he turned up on set and everyone realised he was like a foot shorter than they thought, so they just took him out of the movie.
And we got the T-1000 in the film.
Yeah,
T-1000.
Yeah.
The Prince from Romeo and Juliet, Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet.
John Amos.
John Amos is great in this, isn't he?
Bad guys in this are freaking awesome. It's the best lineup of bad guys of the era.
This bit, look how happy he is that he beat that guy to the phone as well. He's like, yeah. I love that grey cardigan thing he's wearing. You got Bonnie Bedelia. They're not as good without her, are they? Like you're missing a whole bit without Bonnie Bedelia being in them, I think.
Yeah, and Sergeant Al Powell.
She's only like a phone call, isn't she, in the third one? I don't think it's even her.
It's not. You don't hear her side of the conversation, I think. He's so cool. He's a bit too cool at this. He's just done Hudson Hawk, right?
Oh, no. It's afterwards.
Hudson Hawk was after this?
Yeah,
Was
91, isn't it?
This was just after Last Boy Scout then, was it? Or just before?
I think it was just before, because the Last Boy Scout script was one of the many scripts that was meant to be Die Hard 2, wasn't it? The Shane Black script. But
Yes.
It got rejected.
Yes, Shane Black had done one. Yeah, and Fred Decker had done one.
And that became Ricochet, didn't it?
Yes, which is a good film.
Yeah.
But at this time, though, Rennie Harlin was also directing The Adventures of Ford Fairlane.
Right, yeah.
Andrew Dice Clay.
That's a good film.
Well, I've seen bits of it, and it's really funny. It's just like
It is funny.
It completely bombed, and Andrew Dice Clay had this kind of weird popularity, like for like a year or two. Then everyone just hated him after that. I think he's.
Well, look, Die Hard, Lethal Weapon. She's got Lethal Weapon on her magazine.
Yeah.
She's carrying Lethal Weapon.
There's an advert for Lethal Weapon VHS or Lethal Weapon 2 or something VHS in the magazine she's reading.
Same thing Catwoman uses in well, that woman. Oh,
I thought he didn't want to do Die Hard 2, and then he was doing something like Hudson Hawk or Last Boy Scout, and then he was just like, I need a hit, so I'm going to do Die Hard 2.
No, I don't think Hudson Hawk was 89. That would have been the time.
Yeah, that was a bit later.
Definitely definitely 90. It's definitely 91, I think.
What year was this?
1990.
I love all this setup. Right? I love this kind of location. It's really kind of cool the way it's sort of building up the story and the plot lines. It's a slightly more complicated plot than the first film, weirdly, because you don't think it is, but in actual fact there is some twists in this that you don't get in the first one.
Yeah, well, it's kind of a remake, isn't it? It's often been called a remake,
Yeah.
which I think is a little unfair, but it does have the whole different aspect of the betrayal of the heroes, which is something that isn't a part of the first one. And it doesn't have the red herring thing as well that the first one has, of it meant to be, it appears to be a terrorist act, but actually it's a robbery.
No, but it does have it does have a different red herring. I don't know why I'm treating it like the spoilers. But I hate it when this guy dies. I hate it. It's really sad, isn't it? He seems like such a friendly man eating his soup, and then they come along and they shoot him dead.
All he's doing is looking after a church surrounded by soap. He's got his own problems.
So I really like Die Hard. I think Die Hard, technically, objectively, is one of the best movies ever made, one of the best action films ever made. And but when I was younger, I preferred Die Hard 2, and I preferred Ghostbusters 2. Do you know what I mean? Because it's the same but different. But you're not. But you're hitting the ground running. Oh, there he goes. Oh no. But you're hitting the ground running, so you get the same, but it's amped up. There's like more happening sooner and faster. That bit when his hand falls, that's a really good moment.
And it's a lot bigger as well. I think, to be honest, I didn't really differentiate between them as a kid. I thought they were both masterpieces. But this is kind of bigger and shinier somehow.
Yeah, I think there's more happening in this, and there's more to grab your attention. And I think that, as amazing as Die Hard is, if I was ever going to pick a Die Hard film to watch, it would either be this or the third one.
Yeah, I agree. This one does exactly what a sequel should do. It's bigger, louder, and has more stuff going on. But again, it falls into the traits of repeating itself, and that was its, as Rob had highlighted earlier, sort of like it had, not in terms of what critical response, but just kind of, you're seeing kind of familiar traits throughout.
Now this bit specifically here, right? When they're having this conversation, right? They're shady guys, right? And they're all having this conversation. He's got his hand over his ear, right? And he's like watching him, and they're like having this secret conversation, and they're all smiling at each other, right? It's kind of like, oh right, yeah. I do have a point. They're all checking it.
I was wondering then.
They're all checking their watches, right? This is like an Arnold Schwarzenegger commentary, right? And then he's got this, right? And what he's done is he secretly slid this package underneath the table so that he can get it, right? And Bruce Willis has watched all that, and he's gone, that's a bit, is it this bit or that bit? And he's gone, that's a bit shady, right? But it's disguised as a present. So why are they, they should be handing it over to each other in public, right? Because that's why this bit, he slides this under there. It's a Christmas present. It's less weird to hand someone a Christmas present than it is to slowly slide a Christmas present under a table.
You're so right. That's a trope that I've had a bee in my bonnet about for years. The way that it happens so often in spy movies. People will like surreptitiously slide it into. Like, who looks twice at someone handing someone something in real life? It only looks dodgy because you're trying to hide it. And like you say, it's so obvious they're dodgy.
That's what tips him off. And it's a Christmas present. It's already disguised. Do you know what I mean?
Also, like, special forces guys, they're three massive guys all sitting around with identical watches on a table in an airport like that. It just doesn't look natural, does it? It's obvious what's going on.
They probably would have been given the same watches. Or like on their first day, they'd have said, we recommend this watch. It's really good underwater.
This is what the best mercenaries use.
Yeah.
This has got a calculator. Make sure you get Casio.
She's good, isn't she, this journalist?
The pinko bitch.
The way she comes over and she pushes her way in. It's good to have like this sort of character. Who's she replacing from the first one, really?
Well, I suppose she's kind of replacing the cop, because she's the other one who sort of communicates with him. She assists McClane just down to the fact that she can get a scoop you know.
Right, yeah.
Well, I think Marvin is the Al Powell replacement. in
Yeah,
this.
that's right. Oh, yeah,
He's the sympathetic ear.
Oh, when he gets all the maps and stuff, and
Yeah.
Oh, Marvin.
Yeah.
Good
Marv.
old Marvin. Star of Trespass, isn't he? He's in Trespass.
He was meant to be in this a lot more, but they cut all his scenes, didn't
Who,
they?
Marvin?
Yeah. there's
How much
loads
more
of
are you
scenes
going to
with him.
get out of Marvin?
I think that's what they realised.
I've got enough Marvin, thank you very much.
They're really slow and boring as well, everything they shot.
This is where he goes into the baggage section from Toy Story 2.
With this guy I'll get in there before Ollie, but I think one of the most famous bits of trivia about this movie is that that's a homeless guy who they just happened to drive past one day and thought, let's give him a role. He wasn't an actor or anything.
What, this guy right here?
Yeah.
he gets speaking lines, so he'll still get residuals.
Yeah. And he's in it again later, isn't he? I'd never noticed for years that he's in it again later, laughing at something horrible that happens. I can't remember what it is now, but he seems to find something really funny.
Is this what baggage sections are really like?
There's a steam.
Yeah, know what I mean? It's like, okay.
Yeah, with a classic 90s rotating light and fan arrangement to keep all the shadows and lights moving and interesting.
Why would it be so dark, you know?
It's always dark in when they show them in other films, even TV shows. I don't know why they do that.
Have you seen Carry On? Did you see Carry On?
Yeah.
On Netflix?
Yeah.
Oh, I've not seen that.
They have a scene in here and that's really brightly lit. That's like Netflix lit. Do you know what I mean? Everything's like, it looks like Netflix.
Carry On Die Hard, wasn't it?
I mean, it's like, it's literally Die Hard 2, but only during the security section there. And they treat all of like the baggage guys as the X-ray guys like 9/11 firefighters. It's absolutely bonkers.
It's got no sense of humour, though.
It's such a terrible film.
Was it? Some of my friends said it was quite good.
What, Carry On?
Yeah.
Get new friends. When you compare it to something like this, you know, it looks like shit. It's scripted like shit. You know, this is how you do it. It's really great. Rennie Harlin's brilliant.
It's got like a couple of scenes that are good action scenes, but overall it's not a proper film.
What's this? Carry On?
Carry On, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a classic one of these modern, like, it's all been written by AI and it looks like it's been shot by AI and
it's horrible. Well, do you know what? It's like it is the difference. His wife in Carry On, there's a scene when she's hiding behind a car, and the whole way she's doing it is like she doesn't want to get her costume dirty, and her hair is perfectly straight, and her nails are on, and it's like everything about it is like she doesn't want to get dirty. The actor doesn't want to get dirty or get anything messed up. It's so pristine. Her hair is pristine. And when you compare it to Bonnie Bedelia at the end of this film, you know, she's got snow and snot and blood all over her at the end. It's just sort of like, that's like, you know, this is real. Do you know what I mean?
I saw a few headbutts there. Now, obviously, theatrically in the UK, this was a 15. Actually, trimmed bits, cut some of the swearing. Came out to rent, it's still a 15. And then a year or two later, they released it uncut as an 18. But it still is an 18. If you want to buy it on Blu-ray, whatever, it's still an 18.
Well, so why are you saying that? Because the headbutts were an 18 certificate? Is that?
The BBC hated headbutts. They'd always cut them if they could. But obviously, there's bits, you know, you'd point out the other day with the icicle in the guy's eye, right? Because that would have been cut down.
I just thought that was an aspect ratio thing. I thought in full screen you couldn't see it, and in pan and scan you couldn't see it, and in widescreen that's where you could see it. And that's what I thought the difference between, because if you bought full screen Die Hard 2, it was a 15, and if you bought widescreen it was an 18, and I thought that was the only difference.
No, because this is anamorphic as well. So if it was shot like Super 35, it would have been a whole frame. You'd see the top and bottom. But it's kind of like. Rob's just changed his background to the guy getting spiked.
So yeah, just to demonstrate the difference in attitudes between the UK and Germany, that is a German. So what I've just flashed up is a still image of a guy with an icicle rammed into his eye, and it's gory as hell, frankly. And that's a German lobby card. They were hung up throughout Germany in cinemas where children could see them.
Oh, that's great. It's the perfect weapon, isn't it? Because it will just melt, and there's no There's no evidence, no fingerprints.
Yeah, there's a rumour that you can make bullets out of ice, but it can't be done apparently.
It's not too bad, that visual effects shot. This is still miniature.
What, the plane?
Yeah, not too bad.
It looks brilliant.
I love the views out of the windows in some of these shots. That view out the window, I mean, obviously that's just a big painting that they've hung out the back there, but it's better than just a nondescript blur.
They've carried over the similar colour palette of the first one, haven't they? There's often a lot of warm, kind of beigey colours,
It's that Los Angeles glossy feel up here, but it's never occurred to me that they weren't flying. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
I know obviously they're acting, but it's never really, I've never thought you always look at a train set or a plane set and you go, I wonder where that was.
It's really easy for us to buy into what we think something should be. It's the best sort of tool that a filmmaker has in their weaponry, in a way. We want to make sense of it. So as long as it looks vaguely logical, our brains just go, yeah, that's fine.
And I don't even find it hard to buy that he's on the plane with her. Do you know what I mean? I think because they're playing it like, oh no, this is a terrible coincidence, and you go, well, it's a coincidence, isn't it? It plays out quite well. It's not like they're just trying to convince us that it's they're repeating it.
Yeah, it's slightly questionable whether or not a woman would be allowed to bring a taser onto an airport. Well, it's not questionable; it's completely impossible. So it's not an entirely believable flight, but.
I'm not sure if it was an internal flight from one point to another, and it was pre 9/11.
I mean, I don't know what the rules were, but it is a famous complaint that people have made that like you wouldn't have been allowed to do that. But yeah, maybe you would. Well, no, I don't think you would you?
Were they flying first class? Or do you think that's business class? If that's regular coach, then that's...
No, because he's upset, isn't he? He ends up, Thornton ends up back there because he's not in first class, so it must be either coach or business.
Look at the leg room, though. That's insane.
That's what planes used to be. Well, planes in movies as well. They always have more leg room. I've always wanted to, as I'm 6'4", I've always wanted to fly in movie planes where people look like they can actually sit in the seats.
It's just really good because it sort of starts straight away. They introduce the characters. He sees the Christmas present being passed over. He knows something's wrong.
And we didn't talk about it because it's the very first scene, and we're always talking about other things. But I love that this starts with McClane getting a parking ticket. I mean, it's no one would open a movie like that now, with a car getting towed and the hero getting a ticket, and not really meaning much, frankly. But it's just a beautiful little bit of character work.
Well, he meets that guy, and then he has an arc.
He meets Joey's dad, and that comes back into play later. Yeah.
Weirdly, with Rennie Harlin's direction, he shoots a lot in close up throughout this, where John McTiernan would shoot a lot more wide stuff. A lot of these kind of moments. The budget for this was like 60 to 70 million, right?
Yeah, man.
And the head of this is Joel Silver had been like saying in the press, "It cost this amount of money," and the Fox president goes, "That's absurd. It doesn't cost that much. There's probably closer to 40 million." But weirdly, online it says Joel Silver was kind of kicked off the production, and he was the day-to-day service of being a producer. He wasn't around.
That's interesting, because this is often credited as the most expensive movie ever made at the time. When it's until T2, this was considered. It was 62 million or something officially, but I mean, I've always wondered, because there's always been talk about how lavish and expensive this movie was, and I've never quite understood it because it doesn't look like the most expensive movie ever made. It doesn't look cheap.
I think it looks great.
No, it does, but it doesn't. And it certainly doesn't look cheap ever. But does it look like the most expensive movie ever made?
But you've got the original cast returning, right? So they would have all got paid more.
Bruce Willis is getting 7.5 million.
Yeah, and then you've got this guy here. What's his name?
Dennis Franz,
and he was.
I don't think he was on 7 million.
He was on a TV show, so they've populated the supporting cast with known actors.
I think he got big Was it Hill Street? I can't remember now which
Is
cop
it,
show it
is
was.
it
but I've got a
NYPD or
NYPD. I've got a feeling it was around. He was cast just before he got big on that, but I might be wrong on that.
Sure, but like I recognised him off stuff when I saw him, and
Me
he's
too.
in Blowout, isn't he? So he was in stuff all through the 80s. It's like, but what I'm saying is, it's not just sort of like the main cast, but they've gone like, we're gonna, mind you, the first one was like that, wasn't it? Because you had Robert Davi and all the other lot.
Yeah, I don't think any of the supporting cast were going to have broken the bank. I mean, Bruce Willis obviously got. I mean, 7.5 million was a lot then, but
No, but there's a difference between kind of like populating your supporting cast with people that you've never heard of and just sort of like recognisable faces.
people you can pay scale. Yeah.
Well, also down to how many days they're going to be used, isn't it, in the schedule? I mean, if it could be a familiar face on TV, but if they're only needed for a week, they're going to get, I don't know, not going to get that high of a pay, are they?
I can't see anyone on this getting paid an awful lot other than Bruce.
But as I
Willis.
say, but this is 1990, right? So 89, you had Batman, it cost 50 million. That looks expensive. But also you've got boy in the fact that Jack Nicholson charged a lot of money to be in the movie. So comparing the two, I mean, this one, visual effects wise, that's where things kind of crop up in budget, right? Some decent kind of ILM miniatures, and you got right at the end.
It's incredible. The plane crash is incredible.
It's amazing stuff.
And then they're having a fight on the wing of a plane. And do you know what I mean? It's like,
yeah, that's a big set piece. Actually, that must have been pricey.
these are complicated things to achieve.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
They do this many times, but they just go buy a disused plane and just use that as a thing. You can buy them relatively quite cheap. But I think the problem with this was that they kept changing. They were going to shoot in Washington, but they thought, it's going to be freezing cold for the location, and it was too mild. So they had to go shift somewhere else to get that sort of cold weather to fit the film, and they even had to add fake snow as well.
Yeah, I think that might be what ate up a lot of money. Like you say, they had a lot of trouble. They kind of chased the thawing snow around a little bit, didn't they? Everywhere they went, and suddenly it wasn't there. But they also shot little bits fucking all over the place. Like the scene where the plane carrying this plane, in fact, when this lands, and remember McClane's kind of like climbing out of a manhole cover on the runway, and he almost gets hit by it. The scene of that landing there, the plane was shot in 5 different locations, all over America. I can't begin to imagine why, but stuff like that must cost a fortune.
Yeah, but they had the money.
Yeah, it's the sequel to a massive hit.
It was the time of Jerry Bruckheimer and Don Simpson, and it was all about excess. And
This is Joel Silver at his kind of the height of his kind of power, I think, really.
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, you basically had Bruckheimer, Simpson, and then on the other side you had Silver, and it's kind of, they made the big ones, right?
Have you ever read Don Simpson's autobiography?
High concept. It's
So
brilliant.
freaking good. Isn't it?
Yeah, my God, the pages and pages of all the drugs he was on. It's absolutely incredible.
The debauchery was just ridiculous. I think it's in that where it's revealed he likes. It's going to sound slightly unpleasant, but he likes to lie underneath a glass table while hookers shit on it from above.
Oh, right. Yeah.
That was Don Simpson's kick.
Right. Yeah, I heard that about Stallone as well.
I can believe that.
Now, apparently, this also has Dale Jacoby in it, who is in No Retreat, No Surrender. But I don't know. I can't remember where he's in. I think he might be one of the guys when they're doing they're pretending to be painting, aren't they? And that disused section of the airport. Then everything
Robert
kicks off.
Patrick's team, yeah.
Yeah. I think he's one of those guys.
And then what's his name? Jacoby?
Dale, yeah.
Dale
Turns up.
Jacoby, of
Yeah.
course. From No Retreat, No Surrender. Oh,
Four
yes.
Twinkies.
We know who it is. We know who it is. Oh, it's him. Yes, here he is.
Talk about ramming it home.
I know. What would be your calling card for food? I think mine would be a Twix.
Mine would be any kind of nondescript pork.
Pork pie. Rob.
Anything involving pork.
Always got pork pie in your pocket.
Probably just carrot sticks for me. I love his little thing with this lady here.
Oh yeah, she's like instantly flirtatious, and he's like,
yeah,
with the
because
ring.
he is so fuckable, right? And everyone wants to fuck him, and he's so good because he's just like, nah, I got a wedding ring, love. I know you want to fuck me.
Just the facts, man.
Just the facts, ma'am. Just the facts. He's so good. I love him. But like, there's not enough Al, really. I feel this is so shoehorned in. You kind
He
of
was
like,
meant to be in it more. It was another one of those clashing.
What was he supposed to do throughout the entire film? A different time zone, you know,
Isn't it?
sending more facts. You know,
was Al busy? He couldn't change his schedule around for the most expensive movie of all time.
Somehow he was. I know what you mean. It sounds ridiculous, but apparently he was. The movie he was on, I don't think I've ever even heard of. But I suppose if you've signed the contract, you can't get out of it. Then
He was in a sitcom as well, though, wasn't
he was in Brooklyn Nine-Nine as a guest appearance, which is well worthwhile.
there is some crossover though with the other actors. Like the guy playing Marv, he's in show. Where's it gone? Because other people like John Amos, he appears in like Ricochet. You know, there's sort of things that
Yeah.
work out pan out somewhere else.
And this guy, Fred Thompson, is in Hunt for Red October, even though he's not an actor.
he? Who this guy here that's head of the tower?
Yeah, the chief of the tower. Yeah, he was a politician. He wasn't an actor or anything. And Rennie Harlan just thought, you'd be fun in this, apparently, and approached him.
Well, he was in Matlock in Law and Order. I think that's probably later on, maybe after this. As you were saying, he was a politician.
He was in Matlock. Wow, I don't remember him in Matlock.
He's got stack 'em, pack 'em, and rack 'em. He's just like, he's so, yeah. He was, he was like running for, he was a politician, right? So he was running for, I don't know, governor of somewhere. He was the governor of Washington or something like that, wasn't he?
I'm going to look him up, actually. I always assumed that, because he seemed so right and so natural in that role. I remember as a kid, I'd heard somewhere that he wasn't an actor, and I'd always assumed that he must have been an actual air traffic controller, because he, like you said, the pack 'em, stack 'em, and rack, all that stuff is so natural.
Well, he was also in Hunt Red October and what was the other film? Days of Thunder. So he had been acting beforehand, so it wasn't.
So, right, okay.
So,
yeah,
it's all. It may get the wires crossed in running for.
Maybe he played.
Maybe later on. or
He's
beforehand.
definitely a professional politician, but I would bet good money that all those appearances came about in the same way, because he's known by people and they think he'll be good.
Well, he had complained about the script, saying there's too many swear words.
Yeah.
And
What, this?
he thought it would make it unintentionally funny and not serious. So D'Souza was like, oh, well, it should be fine. Then suddenly he saw rushes and there's too much swearing. He thought, yeah, they cut it down in the script. But it still is loads,
I'm guessing he wouldn't be a fan of Deadwood.
Or Die Hard 1. Die Hard 1 had the most fucks in it at the time, right?
Well, the other co-writer of this was Doug Richardson, who would go on to write Money Train, Bad Boys, I think Hostage. I think he did rewrites on Die Hard 4. So I don't know what his stuff is in this compared to D'Souza's. It's kind of like who takes credit for what.
She just saw him have the best phone call ever. And she was like, "Phew, if he's that good on the phone."
Oh, we had a smoke in an airport. Amazing.
Can anyone squint through cigarette smoke like Bruce Willis? Maybe Humphrey Bogart.
It's like he's sucking a sweet, right? It's like he's so, yeah.
It's just part of him, that cigarette.
These are the mannerisms that Terry Gilliam didn't want him to use in 12 Monkeys, right?
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
Because these are his signature sort of, like, he's like even more kind of concentrated from Die Hard, right? He's like, he's doing like the squint and the eyebrows and the sucking the sweet thing.
All crutches.
Yeah, he's kind of like really lent into it. Like Hudson Hawk, that's him on like 11 when he's doing that.
I love that movie.
I love Hudson Hawk. It's so good. I love it. I love it. It's so funny.
It makes no sense.
It's a comedy. It's like a fantasy comedy about Leonardo da Vinci and stuff. It's brilliant. I love it.
It doesn't matter that it makes sense. Loads of movies don't make any sense.
Best bit in that movie is watching Coburn do a flying kick off a building and suddenly something explodes. It's one of the funniest edits ever.
Yeah, sure. Bunny Bobo. It's so good.
Is it Richard E. Grant's kind of biography, just like a whole chapter dedicating to slagging off
Yeah,
that film.
oh man. Well, his first autobiography is called With Nails, and it's not really an autobiography. It's just talking about, like, there's a chapter on various movies that he's been in, and the one on Hudson Hawk is hilarious.
Yeah, but like, he didn't. He only had to be in it.
Oh yeah, he just loved the utter madness of everything as well, because he's got a sense of humour about it, and he's an old school thespian, so he was just presented with this complete insanity and just wallowed in it, laughing.
Yeah, I mean, I love Hudson Hawk.
You were saying very early on, Rob, this is littered with fantastic villains. It is littered with fantastic actors. But I think this film is overstuffed with bad guys. Like you get three main bad guys, right? You've got Sadler, and you've got the guy who pretending to be a part of the military, but it's obviously double cross, and you got Franco Nero, right? So three guys.
What you mean, John Amos?
Yes, John Amos. Sorry, yeah. So you got three guys. You kind of don't get enough real backstory and kind of fighting for screen time. I think. Well, the script is trying to give them enough screen time.
No, I think it's balanced really well. I think.
You think? I never thought that.
I don't need any more. You don't get a huge amount of backstory on Alan Rickman.
Well, no, but you get this sort of time to develop his character. That's the thing. That's why it makes him so memorable.
I think with the twists with this,
the twist is fine. I don't have an issue with the twist.
But William Sadler hasn't got the fireworks like Alan Rickman, but so he's sort of like this background presence. But then John Amos is kind of like, he's so charismatic, and when you get that twist, it's kind of like, oh wow, he's the bad guy.
But if you're saying he's the background guy though, but he's already been introduced as the main bad guy.
Mm-hmm. John Amos or
William Sadler. He's been introduced as the main bad, but then he gets pushed back.
Yeah, but William Sadler's the red herring, isn't he?
I suppose so. Well, he said to basically trick the audience into thinking he's just doing a simple kind of terrorist attack, but it's actually all about escaping with Franco Nero.
Well, his job, William Sadler's job, is to be the villain, basically, isn't it? Because Franco Nero isn't in it anywhere near enough to have a relevant. He's a figure in the movie. He's not a character, really.
And he's missing his nunchucks, isn't he, as well?
He's missing his nunchucks.
He's a MacGuffin, isn't he? Franco Nero is the thing that gets it all going.
Yeah, I don't think there's any problem with him. I mean, it would be because it's Franco Nero. It would have been great if he was in it more. But for that character, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. For John Amos's character, I think that's absolutely fine as well, because he doesn't come into it. He doesn't have a role until halfway through, and then when he's in it, he's got plenty of screen time, plenty of stuff to do. I think William Sadler, it would have been nice if there was more. If they could have figured out a way of having scenes between Bruce Willis and William Sadler, those two together would have been nice, because that's one of the problems. I think why the characters aren't that well developed is because they never get, and all they do is what they need to do. They never have to have a scene where they talk about something else or something goes wrong and they have to improvise or whatever. It's
Sure, but I think the John Amos character fulfills that. He has a relationship with him, and then he gets double-crossed, which is different. It's different from the first film.
Yeah.
The William Sadler one is the red herring, because you're like, oh, he's like the Alan Rickman character, but in actual fact, the real main bad guy is the guy that double-crosses him.
Yeah. I think they're fine, to be honest. I don't.
I think this film hits the ground running, and like the pace is so kind of, you go from one tense scene to another tense scene to a comedy bit to whatever. You don't sit there and go, oh, I wish I knew more about William Sadler. You know what I mean? It's like, I think he does his role. Also, the Franco Nero thing is like, that's what I'm talking about with the budget. When you've got a budget, you can go, it's this tiny part, but we'll give it to Franco Nero because we can chuck money at it. I'm not saying
Franco Nero wasn't charging much in 1992.
Look, I did a TV show and they couldn't spend the money. There was so much money on the TV show, they couldn't spend it. So there were these people with like one line and they were all named actors, because that's where you end up chucking the money. I'm not saying they're loads of money, but I'm saying that when you've got a big budget, you can spend it on people like Franco Nero, on John Amos and all these other side characters, and you can make it like a really rich kind of film.
And you're right. They do add up, don't they? When you stop and think about how many of those sort of known actors are in these smaller roles, there are a lot of them in this.
If they weren't famous now, they went on to be famous. So they were kind of like, these are stars in the making. Do you know what I mean? They're not like
Bruce is kind of surrounded by seasoned actors though, like basically on TV. That's what he's kind of dealing with, which is fine, which is good because Bruce himself has come from TV. But That's what you kind of litter out the cast with familiar names, familiar faces. So everyone's like, oh, this is kind of a big budget kind of deal, right?
Sure, but if you look at the terrorists in the first film, there's only kind of like the
No one knew Alan Rickman was, so only from stage.
there's only the blonde guy out of Money Pit that really stands out, you know. And in this, it's all of them, every single one of them.
Yeah,
basically.
not one of the villains in the first Die Hard would have been recognised by or hardly anyone, frankly.
Yeah. So this movie doesn't have the same traits of Predator 2, where you've got carryover from other Joel Silver productions. We're not seeing anyone from Lethal Weapon in this, are we? Or Predator.
There are some minor Joel Silver people, though, aren't there? Well, including this, the guy who wasn't even an actor. But yeah, I know what you mean.
Was there anyone from 48 Hours in this? Or another 48 Hours?
I wonder if I don't know where. So the exteriors were generally shot in Colorado and Denver, weren't they? And I'm guessing I don't know which. I'm guessing this was a set built in LA, so they're not going to have the problem of like we couldn't get so and so because we were shooting in fucking Denver and no one wanted to go there.
Outside that set piece, there's miniatures. How crazy is that? Just to shoot outside. So you've been a camera, you can see this kind of like miniature airport.
I hadn't even realised that how many of those exterior shots are a miniature. They built the entire airport, all the runways, including planes, in miniature, because it was the only way to control the snow. And I had no idea about that. I think they look awesome.
That's right, Rob. And that's not cheap. This is where the budget goes. What's interesting here as well is like Die Hard, he's in complete isolation, right? And in this, he's like rubbing shoulders to shoulders with everyone, and he's like trying to get stuff sorted. It's kind of like he's the flip side, you know, he's like the Al character in a way. He's like, he's fighting against all the bureaucrats, right?
Exactly, yeah. Crucially, he's still having to fight them. He is around people. He's not on his own, but crucially, they're not actually helping him.
It's kind of like the mayor in Jaws, right? He's trying to do the good job and no one's listening.
The reason I like this one more than the third one is, to be honest, it's probably nostalgia. But I'm not going to argue on that ground because I'll lose. The reason I'm going to argue is that this is a Die Hard movie. The whole point of Die Hard is the character of John McClane, and the character of John McClane is capable but not expert, and he's in the wrong place at the wrong time. And that's what this movie is. By the time you get to Die Hard 3, it's not like the villains are seeking him out, and there's no contained environment. So everything that kind of defines Die Hard is absent from Die Hard 3. As great a film as it is, and I do love it, it's a better film than this in its own way, but it's not as good a Die Hard film to me.
But it's just timing, isn't it? Because by the time Die Hard 3 came out, you already had Under Siege, was Speed out by that point. You know, whenever sudden impact was out, or sudden death was
sudden death was same year as Die Hard 3.
It's like by that point, Die Hard Honor was kind of it was already done. So with Die Hard 3, they had to be like, right, we can't do that, so let's do something else. But like I said, I don't buy Die Hard in a City. I don't buy Die Hard in America, and I don't buy Die Hard in Russia. Do you know what I mean? That's not the same. But even though he's not isolated and on his own, these sets are still really claustrophobic.
Exactly,
you know?
He's still in a contained environment. He can't go where he can't just run away.
And it's cold. There's a blizzard outside, so he can't just like run outside either. Do you know?
That probably plays into Harlin's choice to shoot a lot of stuff in close-ups to give you that claustrophobia, maybe.
Well, it's almost like, speaking of Hunt for Red October, it's almost like they're in a submarine in places, you know.
When they're in the traffic control section, where they're all the guys at their desks, it felt like you're in a submarine. You know, we've got just seeing this radar everywhere. You know, so it sort of feels like
and that's mirrored nicely in the church as well, which seems even more claustrophobic somehow because it's kind of dark as well and
playing Battleship, you know. So.
And it looks warm, you know. He's sweating. It's just like, right, okay. He's in the guts of the building. This is after Nightmare on Elm Street 4, isn't it? So was he 4 or 5?
He was 4.
He was 4, wasn't he?
Yeah. Because the trailer for this, there's a kind of, you know, it's made just for as a teaser that they showed at Christmas of '89, where he's kind of run through all that set, And like I think it says the line, "How can a saying happen the same guy twice?" Right?
In this, yeah.
And but it's a different take.
Right.
Is your favourite character? But this was, again, like Die Hard 1, it was a summer movie. The 3rd of July of 1990. The UK got it in literally a month and a half later. But because Die Hard 1 was delayed in the UK, it came out in February of 89. So the tape to rent the movie came out in August of 89. So literally under a year, you got a sequel if you hadn't seen it theatrically. So in a year's time. That is really quick turnaround. And that was... Yeah. I think some of the criticism laid at the film because it was such a tight turnaround of the sequel that it felt so very derivative of the first one, and that kind of argument always is deployed for sequels. It's kind of they are generally the first sequel is always like generally more the same but with a bit more stuff. And this kind of falls into that.
Cole Meany.
Yes.
He's on the plane this time rather than getting his car towed in Con Air.
It's uncanny how many of these people, because Cole Meany would have been, he would have been on Star Trek for a while then, but this is a tiny, tiny little role. So what was it? Was he like cast because he had an audience from Star Trek, or was it just a coincidence, or what? I've never understood how he's in it.
Was he in The Commitments?
I can't remember.
He was in some of those kind of, working class Irish films. And then he would have been kind of like a respected actor by that point, and then working up to bit parts in American films, and then Star Trek. But that's what I mean. He's just the pilot, and he's still a good actor. Like, even if he was well known at that point, they're going for good people, you know.
That's it. Yeah, the fact that so many of them subsequently became well known is the giveaway there.
These are parts that they could have given to any old fuckhead. Do you know what I mean? And they've given them to some.
Like Robert Patrick. This is Robert Patrick's first American movie. All he'd done was a handful of like properly awful Filipino knockoffs directed by Cirio Santiago, the notorious exploitationeer. That's all he'd done, and this was his first go at an American movie, and he lands a role like this.
And speaking of the Die Hard knockoffs, after Die Hard 2, Rennie Harlan did Cliffhanger, which is Die Hard on a Mountain, and that's before there were so many Die Hard knockoffs. I love Cliffhanger. I think Cliffhanger's.
It's a good film, yeah.
You're really onto something there, because when I did the Die Hard rip-off video, I thought this would be a quick in and out half-an-hour video, and I ended up having to do it in 2 parts because I just simply didn't realise how many Die Hard knockoffs there are, and it must be one of the most directly copied movies of the 80s, even more so than like the Terminator, RoboCop, the Alien, the things that we go to. I reckon Die Hard's been ripped off more than any of them. Yeah,
well, it reinvented the formula for action films, didn't it? Lethal Weapon did it with buddy cop movies, and then Die Hard did it like, no, we can just do it like this. And so everyone was like, right, well, we'll set it on a boat, we'll set it on a bus, we'll set it on a thing.
Exactly. Crucially, and anyone can be the hero.
To the point when Die Hard 3 had to go, right, okay, well, we'll knock off Lethal Weapon, right? Because they'd ran out of stuff to do with Die Hard. A sitting duck. Is that bit?
I think Rennie Harlan took inspiration from John Woo at this point, because you deploy a lot of the slow-mo in this, which is, not, I don't know, doesn't always work.
It's funny that they were taking the Travelator.
And it's so, like, what kind of special forces team are all going to gaggle together in one little group on a thing that they can't get off or have control over?
But that's what it is, like in Die Hard when he cuts his hand on the rose bush and he goes, ow! And he's like, the SWAT team cuts his hand on the rose bush. It's brilliant. Everyone has got to look like a fucking idiot so John McClane can kind of flourish,
What was their glass there? What's going on? This is like Loaded Weapon 1.
That was literally, there wasn't a window anywhere nearby, so they put one on wheels and just parked it in the middle of the set.
And there's a guy selling watermelons.
Oh, lovely bubble wrap. Here we go.
That was a really long shot of that guy that was dead with all the blood, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was there for ages.
I know. Slow-mo for a bit too long.
Really proud of the makeup work on that.
It's good squibs in this as well.
Yeah.
Though not as aggressive as, say, Total Recall. That is like the most aggressive squibs you can see in a movie.
Yeah, no, I think Paul Verhoeven owns the idea of crazy squibs.
And when they're all wearing white as well, it's a lot more, effective with the blood.
So the guy who played Kenny in RoboCop, who gets killed in the office at the beginning by Ed 209, he's talked about how it basically winded him. He was quite badly bruised and injured by all the squibs that went off on him.
Best bit though, isn't it?
Oh, too right.
There you go. This is very
right.
John Woo, isn't it?
Yes, come on.
Very slowly. Van Damme would do it the same that year, maybe the year after with Double Impact. A lot of slow rolling around on the floor. Which is probably better to watch in normal speed, not slow motion,
But he's just a regular guy, do you know what I mean?
Just, the thing with McClane in this one, he's definitely more confident, isn't he? Because he's he's straight away jumping into the action or sort of pushing his way to the heads of the air traffic control to sort of get their attention, where he seems kind of,
Well, it's sort of like...
less eager to get involved, maybe, in the first one.
That bit, and then yes. It's sort of like real world stuff, though, isn't it? Because in real life, Bruce Willis is coming back with the confidence of, I just made fucking Die Hard.
Yeah.
But in the movie, he's like, yeah, that's right. I'm from Nakatomi Plaza. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a really good point, because obviously it was really controversial when he was cast in Die Hard, because he was a TV comedy actor and he was being paid a fortune for an action role. Lots of people couldn't see it. So there must have been he must have been conscious of all the people questioning him. And so to have delivered on that, and then, he must have been great.
They laughed at the trailer when it was just like, it's an action movie starring Bruce Willis, and people just laughed in the cinemas.
They took his face off the posters originally.
Well, he'd done Look Who's Talking after this, right? And Look Who's Talking is more like...
It's the voiceover,
Well, yeah, but it's more like going back to his TV roots, because Kirstie Alley was in it, and it's kind of... And George Segal was in it.
Yeah, that's kind of the same audience as Moonlighting, yeah.
Yeah, that Look Who's Talking isn't like, let's get the guy from Die Hard, it's let's get the guy from Moonlighting, yeah?
What was the film he did? It wasn't a Coppola movie, or maybe it was Brian De Palma film. Was it the Bonfires of?
Oh, Bonfire of the Vanities.
Yeah, that was a massive disaster, wasn't
That's got the most expensive shot of all time in it, where it was a plane landing on LAX. Or it's the most complicated shot of all time. It's a plane landing at LAX during a sunset, and they had to get it exactly right. And it only happens like once a day or something like that, and they had to wait for it exactly right. But yeah, Bonfire of the Vanities has got its own kind of book called The Devil's Candy. Was it called? I've got that somewhere as well. Or is it The Devil's Dandruff? it's got. I think it's called The Devil's Candy, and it's the making of Bonfire of the Vanities.
Devil's Dandruff is definitely what led to it happening in the first place.
Yeah, that is a terrible film, though.
I've never seen it.
It's boring. It's like and Tom Hanks is playing a real jerk, and it's kind of, it's like no one comes out of it that great.
That's the start of a little era of Bruce Willis playing really weird characters in really unusual films.
He had, after, I think around his time, he had success with Die Hard and had this kind of really uneven sort of box office takings, like things just weren't working.
But that's like Stallone, do you know what I mean? Every time you get a new guy, people are trying to work out what they are. And like Stallone was doing kind of like Paradise Alley and Fist and stuff like that. And
directing Staying Alive,
Yeah, and is he a director? Is he a writer? Is he an actor? And he was just like, no, I'm an action star. And then that was the 80s,
Yeah, Rambo 2 onwards, I think that really sort of solidified who he was going to be moving forward.
It's easy to forget prior to that he was like a proper actor, or considered a proper actor.
Well, yeah, Rocky, demonstrated all of those, ticked all the boxes, wasn't it?
When you look at Nighthawks, that's not an action film, that's a thriller, It's not playing into the strengths of what you associate with Stallone. And he's got a beard.
And he did Rhinestone as well, which was a really bad movie.
Oh yeah, but have you ever seen the interviews of him and Dolly Parton?
Oh yeah.
Oh God, they're flirting so badly. It's so. Oh God, I love her. Stay away from her. This guy, he's in Trespass. Right.
If there's anything wrong with these bad guys, there are a few of them who just kind of all blur into one.
They all look the same. They've all got the same haircuts. That's the problem.
Yeah.
And William Sadler's in Trespass.
Is he?
Yeah, you've got the Bills, haven't you? You got Paxton and Sadler, and then you've got Cube and T. Both the Bills, both the Ices.
Together at last.
That's a great film.
I haven't seen that in about fucking 25 years.
Right, we'll do Trespass next. Right.
Do you think a lot of the characters that McClane is kind of bumps into outside of the journalist and Marv maybe are all basically horrible? Everyone is aggressive and mean, and that is the discussion we had in Predator 2. Was like the whole attitude of the film is very mean and nasty and sort of like aggressive, and everyone's just an arse, and he's McClane, this guy who really means well, who's trying to do his job, trying to save the day. He's just surrounded by people who are incompetent or don't listen to him or just have their own agenda. Makes it frustrating.
Yeah, but the building is a metaphor for isolation, right? But the actual isolation comes from our innate sense of loneliness as humans, yeah?
I was just about to say that, yeah.
So he's completely isolated from...
That's a lie, Rob.
But do you know what I mean? Like in the first one, he's trapped in a building. In this, he's surrounded by walls of idiocy.
Yeah, I think it's kind of what I was saying earlier. Like, he is, although he's not technically isolated, he is confined, and he is effectively isolated because no one's helping him. And like you say, Marv's one of the good guys, but there's a deleted. Have you seen the deleted scenes with him? Because there's one showing him like refusing to help, basically. And McClane figures out that Marv's living down there because he finds his little bed sit thing, and he basically forces him to help under threat of reporting him and getting him to lose. So he's like, I'm going to lose my job. And McClane's like, well, then you know what you've got to do. So even Marv doesn't want to help in the first place. And that woman isn't actually, the journalist is only helping him to further her own agenda.
Oh, of course, but she's the only one who's not like he's gonna get information from her. You know what I mean? To help himself. But yeah, again, and also, I've seen this film so many times. So I don't dislike it. But it falls into that weird scenario where you see it so many times, but I often forget many scenes in the film. It just falls into kind of weirdly forgettable, and I think this boils down to the fact that because then they're all set at night time. And you've got the locations, and it just kind of blurs. So you only get as kind of the third act when they're on the in the snow, driving around in the what they called again, the
skidoo things,
snowmobiles, snowmobile, using that. So that kind of distinguishes itself from everything else. Everything else feels very sort of samey.
No, I think it builds really great. They've just had the shootout, and now it's going to go to the sequence with Windsor. They had to call it Windsor because it couldn't be based on an actual airline. And
with the most English woman in the world as the stewardess. Yeah,
we're just like British Rail, love. We'll get you there.
We'll get you there in the end.
Bastard Rail,
Fuck off, you patronising bitch. Oh dear, my piles are playing up. Right, so
cup of tea,
handing out digestives. You know what I mean to everyone.
I think there's so many set pieces. In a way, there's probably more set pieces than there are in Die Hard.
There's a lot more action. I think, yeah.
But I think visually and how Harlan's directed it. It just for me it feels quite samey.
Don't you touch a hair on Harlan's head, please.
I think you're just blinded by your unfathomable hatred of this film, Ollie. I don't know what the reason is.
This bit is a
Ludicrous,
classic.
Rob.
You've got this bit. You've got the bit with the grenades. You know, it's just kind of like this film is fantastic. It had the highest death toll in any film, didn't it?
Did it outdo Rambo 3 then, I presume?
Well, I think the plane load of people. This scene here is about.
plane-
to
Oh,
That's
outdo
just
Rambo
cheating,
3.
though, isn't it? Just having the whole plane, just counting everyone on the plane. It's like one death. You know
Well,
what I mean?
yeah,
Yeah, it is really.
Still only counts as one. It's
really,
like-
really, highest death count is.
It's Doctor Strangelove.
Well, highest death count is Star Wars, isn't it? Because you got Alderaan.
Star.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
Any film with a planet exploding, that counts, right?
But this bit's great because every time you're just thinking, God, maybe he'll stop him this time. Do you know what I mean?
I think this is a really good sequence because it's number one. It's got all the fucking balls in the world. Because I mean, you can imagine how difficult it was for Rennie Harlin to convince the studio to let him kill hundreds of people, and like, just the visual impact of McClane running down the runway with the burning things. It's a fantastic scene.
Oh, yes, brilliant. Yes, really good.
Oh yeah, you've changed
Why
your
do you
tune.
hate it so much then?
I didn't say that.
You said it's the most boring film you've ever seen, or something
said
like that. I think this is great because you see William Sadler here with the lights underneath, and he's a psychopath, right?
Yeah.
And Alan Rickman's not a psychopath. Alan Rickman's like a suave businessman who's trying to get some gold. But William Sadler is literally... Alan Rickman wouldn't crash a plane, I think.
No, not unless there was money in it for him and he could get away with it. He certainly wouldn't do it out of spite or to make a point like this, I don't think. But William Sadler is a true believer, isn't he? He's a zealot. So that makes you capable of doing anything for any kind of crazy reason. Whereas Hans Gruber was just a thief.
He's all in support of Valverde, the country that was used in Commando.
Yes, Commando.
Commando.
Yeah.
And what's the other one? Is it Predator as well?
Oh, I don't know.
I think
Maybe
Predator-
at the beginning of some sort of line. I don't.
It's not
I
the
don't know.
country that Predator takes place in, is it?
Are you sure?
I don't think so.
It's in Commando. It's in Die Hard 2.
Let's ask ChatGPT and see if I can get it to suggest The Wizard of Oz or something equally helpful.
I think it's Predator. Oh, it's good.
Well, there's no. From Sadler, there's no sort of remorse.
No,
there.
he's a psychopath. Alan Rickman may have done it. Hans Gruber may have done it, but he would have been...
No, Gruber wouldn't have done it. He's a professional. He wouldn't do that.
Exactly.
He's a professional thief. That's it.
He's not going to kill children, surely.
No, he wouldn't do that because he let the pregnant woman sit on a chair, instead of a rock or something in the hall in the plaza.
And everyone's... I just think it's just... I'm fully invested in it, Emotionally, I think emotionally it really gets you. There's not a scene like that in... Well, what's the equivalent of the plane crash in Die Hard? Would it be the guy getting shot in the head? Would it, there's like a real sad moment, like, oh no, it's...
There was anything around this time? Was there some sort of plane accidents? I know the Lockerbie thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, they were playing... There was a lot of plane terrorists, wasn't there? And terrorism with planes.
Yeah. But because it makes it risky, doesn't it? When you're sort of, again, if it's something that's happened in the news and you sort of throw in a sequence that kind of inspired by it, doesn't get the best feedback.
Plane crashes are a part of life. Do you know what I mean? And they have set this at an airport. If they were worried about that, they wouldn't have set it at an airport.
So Valverde is in Commando and Die Hard 2 and also Deadpool 2, apparently. There's a tongue-in-cheek joke about it. Predator, while the country is not named explicitly, it's widely believed that the jungle setting is meant to be Valverde.
Of course it is.
It's also appeared in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Adventure Inc. and NCIS Los Angeles, but not The Wizard of Oz.
Oh.
Or Caddyshack 2. Or Airplane 2.
Speaking of fun, how many brilliant part twos can we cover in one commentary, Ollie? We can't do Die Hard 2, Caddyshack 2 and Airplane 2.
Well, you can knock off Airplane 2. We're not doing that again.
We can do Turtles 2. Yeah, the faces on Nick and Rob.
Turtles 2 doesn't help because I'd tapped out by that point anyway. I was too old for Turtles when Turtles 2 came out.
Mannequin 2?
Mannequin on the move. This is the bit with in the hospital in Jaws, right? My kid was in that beach, you know, or whatever he says, and it's just like, all right, you have my permission.
My kids were in that pool too, or something. My kids were in there too. Yeah.
I always think William Atherton does need a mustache. It just suits him better.
What do you mean? Oh, from
beard, you know what I mean? Like Ghostbusters.
From Ghostbusters.
Oh, the 80s beard. The 80s Ghostbusters beard does really suit him, you're right.
Well, he's lost a beard, but he's gained a dick.
Fair exchange. Don't know what that says about either of us, Nick.
I'm surprised he didn't actually throw in like Fox News at this point to sort of do the news junkets.
Because they're watching The Simpsons, aren't they?
Yeah.
And if you were in England when this came out, that was the most amount of Simpsons that you could watch.
Yeah. Unless you were a rich family with Sky.
We had cable like a year or two later, so luckily we got to have Sky One.
Ah, yeah, so yeah, they must be in business. I forget they go back into steerage to talk to this guy, don't they?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He goes back and the crew have got the shit seats.
It always makes me laugh when you see films when they're set in a plane because no one's complaining about their ears popping. You can't hear anyone properly. Everyone's just acting normally. Just like, no.
There's always far too much head height as well. They always build them higher so they can move about more easily.
Well, yeah, we're from the land of the giants, Rob. It's like, everyone on these films are always like 5'8".
Well, you know, if you're noticing the height of the plane, then you're not fully invested. I mean, he's so sort of smarmy. They've all got a glint in their eye, though, to make them all likable, you know? They're like, even the bad guys you love to hate, except for William Sadler, who's just so, like, cruel and mean and evil. He's evil.
Yeah, John Amos it's impossible to hate John Amos, even when he's being scary.
He's so likable. Even at the end, he's just like, I'm in it for the money. Do you know what I mean? He's still smiling about it.
Yeah. So yes, it's nearly halfway through then when he shows up.
Yeah. And it's perfect because it's such a great red herring. Do you know what I mean?
No, we'll turn up with blanks, haven't they?
And you've got all of the arseholes that are suddenly sucking up to him.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And like he's the only person that's listening to him.
I mean, it's a sign of what a great actor he is that he's totally convincing as this like military leader, despite being profoundly unfit, quite clearly.
I was going to say, it's just of all the people to have a hand-to-hand combat on the wing of a jumbo jet, it's kind of like, maybe not him, but
he'd be out of breath.
Is he a bit like Lawrence Fishburne in Predators, where it's a bit too out of shape?
He's gone Marlon Brando on it.
In the olden days, I love that bit in Family Guy with some sort of joke about how in the olden days all the movie stars who were meant to be in shape were actually really out of shape, but in an in shape kind of way. And it's like a shot of Robert Mitchum with his trousers up to his neck, going, "Go on."
They've all got like very much square chests, haven't they? Sort of just bow,
fat bellies and skinny arms. Yeah. Barnes is kind of an odd character in this, I always think, because he's a complete blank slate. He has no allegiances, it seems. He doesn't trust or not trust anyone in particular. He doesn't seem to have any personality, but somehow he's a really effective character. He's been really memorable throughout my life. For some reason, Barnes.
He just delivers lines with such gusto, doesn't he? Really, he's totally into the role, but it's very much a throwaway role, isn't it?
Is this guy Barnes?
No, the Actually, you're a few seconds behind. The engineer who led them out to get killed by Robert Patrick.
Oh, right, yeah. Well, I think he's actually a bit of an unconvincing actor.
It's an unusual performance, isn't it? Really naturalistic.
It really, it sticks out as kind of like a little bit kind of not very good. But he's still, he's part of the film. I really, I like everyone in this.
Yeah, there's no one gives a bum performance. I think what he's doing isn't normal acting. It's a bit more naturalistic somehow, I think, and that can seem really odd.
This is good. There's a lot of great moments where there are a lot of lifts closing.
Mm.
You're not allowed in here.
There you go. So you like the lifts, do you, Ollie? You'll give it that.
I'll give it that. Yeah. There's too many close-ups in this bloody movie. Don't shoot scope if you're going to shoot close-ups all the time. Fuck's sake.
Unless it's of a lift closing.
Exactly.
Well, he's normally on top of the lift, isn't he? So it's unusual for him to be like.
This is a set, then, is it? The control room. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so good. God, look at all the snow. They must have been. That's where your money went. There's people. They've hired people to, shake porridge oats outside the window.
Apparently, they wanted to be environmentally friendly with their snow, so they went to a soap company and got them to make soap without the actual chemical ingredients that are bad for you or whatever. And so it is soap, but it's not the kind of soap that does your eyes in and hurts the flowers.
Mixed with Rennie Harlin's dandruff.
I just think all of this is kind of just incredibly convincing. I buy it. I buy it all.
I don't think there's been a single shot, moment, or anything so far that's anything other than exactly what it should be.
It's interesting because after this you get Passenger 57 and you get Executive Decision and even Con Air, But that's with everything happening on. I mean, why didn't they put him on the plane?
Yeah, well, yeah. There are limited options once you do that, I suppose.
We could parachute off it.
But putting him on the plane would be more equivalent of putting him in a building,
Exactly. This is a point I keep making in the Die Hard videos. It's like, once you're like sending in an expert to do the job, like an Executive Decision, it's not Die Hard anymore. They need to be there. They need to be trapped there, so they don't have a choice, and they can't be like Special Forces expert guy.
But would you say Executive Decision is a Die Hard film?
I don't think it's a Die Hard rip-off, but I think it's been influenced by it. I can see, but then I've got strange views on it. Like, people are always like, Speed is generally considered the number one Die Hard rip-off.
Well, it's nothing like a Die Hard.
To me, it is the anti-Die Hard.
It's a disaster movie.
It's got nothing to do with Die Hard except a high concept and an enclosed environment.
I mean, if you say that Speed is a Die Hard film, I watched Speed 2.
That's a Die Hard rip-off.
No, I think Speed 2 is a disaster film.
Well, both. Yeah. But then there's a lot of Die Hard is arguably a disaster. I mean, Die Hard the book was inspired by the Towering Inferno, which is a definitive disaster movie. So I've always seen Die Hard as, with one foot in the disaster movie camp, to be honest. It's got a lot of the same tropes and scenes and moments.
Well, this one has more tropes towards disaster movies.
Yeah, but if you look at Die Hard, that's Towering Inferno, and then this is Airport, and then Die Hard 3 is like, what, I don't know, Armageddon. Earthquake. We'll call it Earthquake, right? But there is kind of like that
Die Hard 4 was War Games.
And Die Hard 5 is the making of Die Hard 5. That's the disaster.
Die Hard 5 is a mistake.
There's no way Franco Nero read this script and was like, yeah, that's the part.
That's why he wasn't happy.
He didn't really speak English, so he might not have been able to.
He had to commit to another film. That's what he wanted to make. So they changed the shooting schedule to make so Frank could do both.
It is an odd bit of casting in a way, because he's just in it. He does so little. It could almost be anybody, and it If you weren't a Franco Nero fanboy like me, then it wouldn't necessarily take away, I don't think.
I thought it was anybody my whole life, you know. You just go,
Yeah, I
"Oh."
was late realising who it was too.
You should have thrown like Terence Stamp in or something. You know, you would have had more, given him more lines of dialogue.
That would have been interesting, yeah.
They've kind of split Alan Rickman's personality over 3 people.
He's meant to be Noriega, isn't he? I think this guy. I think that's what he's based on. Franco Nero's character, the Manuel Noriega guy. It's not your problem.
And they actually show like them getting shot in the head as well, you know.
This is where all the trims would have been made for the original cut. Then they probably showed that on TV on a Saturday at like 8 o'clock at night or something. Full of adverts.
But then they used to, even when they showed movies quite late at night, they'd still always show the frickin'
I know, the cut one.
airhead instead of the arsehole ones and so on.
And once they even called me Airhead.
I was really baffled as a teenager. Like RoboCop was on that early at night. I was like, really? And then you see it, you're like, oh, okay.
I'm sure it would have been 9 o'clock.
Oh, I thought it was earlier than that.
I watched No Way Out on YouTube, and they cut the sex scene out, and you kind of like go, that's the most famous bit of the film. It's the bit in the limousine. It's so famous it was in Hot Shots too, you know.
Yeah,
and they cut it out. You're like, oh right.
Yeah, that will have got it demonetized. I don't know how you cut RoboCop for TV use, because you can't. It's not just a matter of swapping out the words. There's whole scenes and themes and all
You can
sorts.
watch it. It's on as a Blu-ray, isn't there?
What of the TV version?
Yeah, the Arrow one from Arrow Video with all the multiple cuts. It's the TV cuts on there.
Oh wow, right, okay.
It's comedy gold.
Must have been almost as big a job as trying to adapt a video about RoboCop for YouTube, because that took me about a frickin' week.
Well, I remember when Die Hard made its TV debut, because they talked about it on The Big Breakfast, and they were like saying Die Hard has had 67 F words taken out of it. It was like newsworthy, you know.
Oh my God.
I don't know what you'd do with RoboCop. It would just be shredded, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah. I'm not sure if I've mentioned this before. There's the end shot where you see the plane, which is my screensaver behind me, all that as a matte painting, and then the people in it is the first time they've actually digitally composited people into a matte painting. At the time, this is the first thing Island did.
Oh right, okay.
So it's super, looks great. It's seamless. That's probably why they went right. We've got to push for digital compositing. But the TV show called Bad Influence, which was aimed at kids about video games, they had a competition where at the end of the show they said, for what film is this matte painting from? Please, phone in to say which you think it is. Because they say, oh, Die Hard 2 was on in the weekend. So they presume, these kids, it's aimed at children, had stayed up and watched Die Hard 2, an 18-rated movie at the time. So yeah, it's mad to have a competition.
Probably had, though, hadn't they?
Imagine like Andy Peters sitting there. Oh, we got a competition. What happened at the end of RoboCop or something? The kids were like, I know.
But do you know whether or not there were answers? I'd be interested to know whether the kids. I'd assume that the kids probably had.
I think the kid next week had won like a Mega Drive or something, or Super Nintendo.
Because it is a classic example. I know I've complained about this a lot, but this country in the 80s and early 90s, the censorship was insane. And I'm baffled as to why this needs to be an 18. Like I said to you earlier, I watched this with my son when he was, I think, 9. And there was nothing that I can think of in it that's inappropriate. At that age, they've heard all the swearing that there is in the world anyway, and they know that they're not allowed to do it, so that's all you can do. And then...
Oh yeah, it's completely over the top back in the day. I mean, this.
I think there's more of a reason for this to be an 18 than the first one.
I don't think either of them should be, but that's arguably yeah. You're probably right, but I don't think either of them should be.
But this has literally got people getting shot in the head. There's been at least.
Yeah, well, that's why, like back in the day, maybe 13, 14 or something like that. But 30, like once you're a teenager, seeing people getting shot in the head doesn't mean anything, does it?
But it did back then because, we're completely desensitized by video games now. So
Exactly, that's what I mean.
So
yeah,
movies have caught up. But back then, what do we have? Prince of Persia,
Yeah.
and then headshots. It's like, when Mortal Kombat came out, that was a huge kind of controversy, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
That was after this.
Yeah, they talked about it in Congress, didn't they? About banning stuff,
Oh, they used to talk about banning everything in Congress. Hip hop, Sly Stallone movies, martial arts, nunchucks.
Which one did they try and which Stallone film did they try and ban? Stop or my mum will shoot.
I think probably Rambo 3.
I think it was.
Was it Oscar? Was it Oscar?
Speaking of underrated comedies.
Oh, I hate Oscar. I prefer Stop and My Mum Will Shoot, He puts in a good performance. He's good in it.
Both of them have got some funny moments in, to be fair to them.
This bit's brilliant. They use the sit down. Yeah, God. They throw in kind of one-liners for him just for the sake of it in this.
It's a pretty impressive shot when he ejects himself out the seat.
Yeah, it's incredible.
That's
it's
trailer
incredible.
fodder, isn't it?
They used it. Yeah, they used it on adverts for widescreen. I think they said if you've not seen it in widescreen, then you haven't seen it. And then the screen would like go pa 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 pa, and then you'd see him come all the way up to the cap. It was amazing. They do something similar. They basically steal that shot in Terminal Velocity. The Charlie Sheen movie that came out at the same time as Drop Zone.
Because Hollywood.
Even though I think the audiences would know that it's such a derivative of Die Hard, but the concept is so interesting just to reinvent it every time. I think that's why it works,
What, Die Hard?
Yeah, just copying Die Hard.
It's just a blueprint. It's a blueprint on how you now do action films, and it wasn't.
It's not so obvious that it always needs to be immediately apparent to everybody watching that it's a Die Hard ripoff. A lot of them are movies that you can't. You go, oh yeah, shit, of course that's a Die Hard ripoff. And a lot of them are movies no one's seen as well.
I think it was just a really good way of describing what it was. You go, what's Under Siege? And you go, well, it's Die Hard on a boat.
Yeah. It's all a big reaction to the Stallone and Schwarzenegger, over the topness of everything. Bringing it back down to a normal guy rather than a superhuman.
I love movie grenades. They take forever to go off, don't they? That would have gone off by now.
Yeah, it's like what? It's got a 10-minute fuse, and now he's struggling to put his seatbelt on. It's like.
This is something out of a Naked Gun or something.
Oh, it's so good. Oh, it's so cool. It's so cool.
So is that done? Have they put him on like a gimbal against a blue screen, spun him around, and kept the camera still, and then comped that over the?
Yeah. Because when he sort of tails off to the right, it's a bit of an awkward kind of like travel.
You're being nitpicky.
I mean, they're being too ambitious in what they could do.
No, they're not. They're pushing the boundaries.
I think it's perfect. I love the way it kind of. I love the way it goes off. So it makes it seem more natural.
I think it's great. I just don't have a problem with anything I'm watching.
But Rob has got your favourite things, black matte lines all over it.
I didn't see them.
Should have feathered that.
Your objections are getting more and more erratic and baseless, Ollie.
That's just how they made films, I like that. I like that you can see kind of that join sometime and go, oh wow, it was people that made this, Like with the model work and the matte paintings, it's like fucking hell.
They're all splendid,
Like, people made that. It's incredible.
Works for me, huh?
This air hostess is great. Oh God, that red light's not good, is it? I better tell the passengers. And she's got the Nakatomi papers. Did you see that?
Yeah, it's a lovely. I like that.
Just in case you forgot.
I've never noticed it before. I've never noticed it.
If you think about it, you could never just casually exchange a few words with someone on a plane that far away, could you? They'd never hear you.
No, but it's
The
a
hum
film.
and the...
No, the noise. Yeah.
Simpsons.
See, Ollie's poisoned my mind against this.
Well, the thing is, when people watch films now, one of the criticisms is it's not like real life, and it's kind of like, no, it's a movie. You know, it's a fantasy. Whatever you're watching is kind of, it's a fantasy.
Yeah.
So I would think that with movies, but when they're set on a plane, you have to sort of take away some of the reality of it, because you couldn't do anything, all these things on a plane. You went to hear people half the time.
Yeah, it's movie language.
Yeah.
You've got to suspend your disbelief. It's suspension of disbelief, and when that breaks, that's when the film doesn't work, right?
Exactly, and that's when you start noticing that the roof of the plane isn't high enough and all that kind of thing.
Rob can't sit down.
It's like I buy everything in the world of this movie, you know?
Yeah. The only other thing that makes you do that, I find, is commentating on something, because you're looking at it differently, and you're also looking for something to say a lot of the time, so there's no dead air, and you get more critical than you would otherwise sometimes, I find.
Don't expose the flaws of this format.
Wrong time, McLean.
Yeah, stick that in the trailer. Fucking hell.
Rennie Harlin demanded that was in the trailer, didn't he? His only rule for the trailer was it has to feature that line.
Oh, story of my life.
Apparently Bruce Willis hated all that stuff, didn't he? All the referencing back.
He doesn't like this. He doesn't like the sequel. This
No.
one because of all the references and stuff like that. And he's a funny guy, is he? Sometimes with his what? Well, a lot of the actors like Stallone, they didn't like a lot of the Rambo films that people love. He doesn't like.
Yeah, he hates Rambo 2. Yeah, he thinks Rambo 2 is like a disaster.
Who's Stallone?
Yeah.
Oh, good. I hate Rambo 2. I hate Rambo 2.
Really?
Yeah, I love Rambo 3.
Yeah, Rambo 3
2.
is, definitely. I prefer the two.
Rambo 3 is what in your head Rambo is, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
But I could never find the quote though from Stallone saying he hated Rambo 2. But I'd always heard about it. But I could never find the quote. But there's plenty of him quoting that he hates Rocky 5. That was the worst, 0 out of 10, whatever.
Well, everyone hates Rocky 5.
But there's a lot of interesting stuff in number 5, Rocky 5.
Stallone is a populist, right? So he'll throw perfectly decent films under the bus because it didn't do well at the box office.
Yeah, and when you made it, you've got a different relationship with it. I mean, you're not looking at it objectively. You're remembering, and also if the more personal it is, and the less appreciated it is, the more upset people tend to be about it, and the more they try to counteract that.
Yeah, but Rocky 5 was a box office bomb, and so he's gone. Yeah, I don't think it's good either. But in actual for Rocky 5 is fine.
I haven't seen it since I was a kid, but I hated it. I was such a big Rocky fan, and when that came out, Rocky 4 obviously raised the bar for movies in general, and then Rocky 5 was just...
Yeah, but Rocky Balboa makes Rocky 5 more bearable, because it's not the end,
I do like the end of Rocky 5. All the stuff in the finale is brilliant fun.
In the street, when he's just battering him in the
My
street.
street's outside. All that nonsense.
And the guy goes, "Touch me and I'll sue." You're a damn fool.
Tommy Gunn only fights in the ring. In the ring.
Yeah, it is actually not very good, isn't it?
Half of it's good, I think. Putting his son in it was
He's dreadful, that boy.
Yeah.
Is that Sage Stallone?
Yeah.
Oh, he's not so bad. He's not so bad.
He's all right in Daylight.
If you put it into context of all of the films ever made, Rocky 5 is absolutely fine. It might be the worst Rocky film, but it's better than a lot of other films. I love Stallone. I love it when he's acting, I think...
Yeah. I just rewatched Creed 2 the other day because I watched Rocky 4 with my son and he loved it. And there's actually technically kind of a sequel to this. And Stallone's performance in that movie is genuinely brilliant.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah.
He's really good. When it's weird though because he's so inconsistent. Sometimes he's fucking terrible. He's terrible in Tango and Cash. Like he's got the tone completely wrong. It's like, what are you doing?
This is the bit where he stabs the guy in the eye, isn't he, with the icicle?
I couldn't even remember when I saw it.
The best bit. The dicicle. That's what we call it.
Here's our first clue that he's actually a bad guy. He didn't even look at that piece of paper,
Yeah.
yet somehow knows that it's the answer, where he is, what it is, and everything he needs to know. Yeah.
No, it's just a flesh wound.
You've got to do more than that to take Franco Nero down.
Oh, he's in it a bit more than I thought.
The guy is in a movie in which he hunts sharks by being towed by parasailing behind a boat and then jumping into the water when he sees one and stabbing the shark to death with a knife.
Which film? Is that Cruel Jaws? Which
No,
film is
I
that?
think it's called Shark Hunter.
Right, okay.
It's an Italian Franco Nero piece of crap.
You don't want to put a K next to Hunt.
Maybe that was the plan all along. So, have we seen John Leguizamo do anything yet?
No.
Well, he's not really in it, is he? He's the sort of person that when you know that Robert Patrick's in it and you know that John Leguizamo's in it, then you see him, you know. But
Yeah.
this guy's in it a lot.
Yeah, he's a familiar face as well. I've seen him before.
He was in it quite a lot earlier.
Yeah. There's something else he's been in. I can't put my finger on it.
Come on. Yeah!
Here we go, yeah.
Idiot.
So I think that was meant to be Leguizamo doing that fight, because there's a fight scene between him and McClane that they swapped him out of because they decided he was too small, and his job is kind of all involves being outside around this church. So I reckon that was it, because he's the one who does the welding of the thing earlier on outside the church. So I reckon that was meant to be Leguizamo originally.
Well, John Leguizamo, obviously the star of Executive Decision.
Yeah, man. Have you ever seen him talking about working with Steven Seagal?
Yeah, it's brilliant.
That's so good,
Brilliant.
isn't it? Doesn't he wind him? Doesn't he? He punches him in the stomach or something. 'Cause he's laughing at the script.
And,
His delivery or something, doesn't he?
Well, Seagal famously really hit people, didn't he?
yeah.
Because he's an arsehole.
I know that this is now an extremely unacceptable word, but to hear Leguizamo call Steven Seagal a fucking retard, his enunciation is brilliant. It's so good.
Roger.
I'm just your kind of ass.
No, you're right about me.
You see, it's another clue, really, isn't it? He's switched far too quickly, and he's now realised McClane is a genuine threat who he has to kind of massage a little bit and keep on the right side of, just to
for
stay in
sure.
his loop and make sure he knows what's going on and so on. And
It's well done, you know. It's well cast because you don't immediately assume that this guy's a bad guy.
yeah, totally. There he is.
Yeah.
So they realise he's too short, and then the only thing they give him to do is shoot a gun out of a really tall, high-up window.
Oh, they switched to blanks now, haven't they? Yeah.
Well, you see them like flip it, but you don't know why yet. But it's so sort of like you don't notice it really. It's only like the third or fourth time you watch it that you go, oh, and then the riches of the movie really expose themselves to you.
Apparently that's a real thing in the US military, so I guess if you were a US serviceman watching this, you'd probably just have assumed they didn't know what they were doing and they just made a mistake.
Well, technically, they're all blanks, aren't they?
Good point.
Didn't mean to crash us all back down to earth. Like the Windsor plane.
Oh, nice, like that. Which you should have known if you weren't a wrong'un.
You can see why they gave him cliffhanger, right? Because it's like, oh, he can do stuff in the snow, and he can do Die Hard in the snow. He's killed someone with an icicle. Let's see him kill someone with a stalactite. You know.
I think, yeah, because Rennie Harlin, after cliffhanger. He did Long Kiss Goodnight, which is a brilliant film. No, Cutthroat Island, which was the biggest bomb for Coralco, wasn't it? It destroyed the...
It's not that bad. I don't know. I think most people that don't like Cutthroat Island haven't seen it.
Yeah. And it was kind of the curse of making a pirate movie. Because it was always frowned upon that don't do it because it's going to bomb. Like something in the 80s, I think it was a massive failure. But then he did Long Kiss Goodnight, which is a great movie. Again, that kind of didn't underperform, but Deep Blue Sea sort of brought him back a bit.
Oh, I liked it. I'm a big fan of Deep Blue Sea.
Long Kiss Goodnight, I saw that at the cinema. It was absolutely incredible. And I love Gina Davis. You know, everyone goes on about like female action stars, but Gina Davis was incredible in the 90s.
Yeah. And she used to get talked about a lot. I don't remember Long Kiss Goodnight being a failure because it was very popular.
She never gets lumped into it, you know. They always like go, what about Sarah Connor? What about Ripley? And you name... Princess Leia, you know, you've got three people that they always reference as female leads.
Enough bloody movies, that's the problem.
And it's like Gina Davis never gets a shout out, and she was great.
I feel like she would, like, at the time there was a lot of talk about how, like, finally there's another woman to consider a great action hero, not just. But then, it's completely forgotten about very quickly. I don't think that film's aged well somehow.
It had underperformed. The film did.
Did it?
It found its audience on video, but Shane Black said, "Look, put a female in it," and the women didn't go see it. They weren't interested.
No. You can't make a woman an action hero to make women go and watch action movies.
No.
That's the wrong approach, isn't it?
Well, that was kind of like, I think
it's what they're doing. I know. Oh, of course, yeah. I know. Yeah.
I think maybe the opposite is true, where I was a 15-year-old boy and I went to see it, and it didn't stand out that there wasn't a male in the lead. You know, it was just sort of like it's just an action movie.
Because you buy into her backstory and who she is. It kind of that's what it works.
I think maybe the problem was that she'd been around for quite a while by the time she started doing those action films, so she was probably just aging out of it.
Yeah.
But she's also like she's playing a proper female character. It's not a half-assed. We'll make this one the hero, but not actually put any thought into it, and we'll just kind of give them more to do, but leave them as the same type of character they normally play. It's like Ripley. She's like a completely different approach to that kind of character.
Well, but they're still women, you know. So much. Come on.
Until the woke mafia force them to be men.
Well, I just think that people aren't really thinking about it that way. You know, it's like, if you want women to come and see a film, then you have to patronise women, and it's just like, I don't know. I mean, surely it's just about putting women in films that men watch, and you know, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I never questioned Gina Davis being in those films.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it becomes like a political talking point, and it's just like, well,
yeah.
She's also got a physicality, which I know it might sound sexist, but I think making, like, Scarlett Johansson obviously has always been kind of controversial as Black Widow, because it's just a bit silly to watch a small lady beating up a big superpowered alien. It's just ridiculous. But like Ripley and Gina Davis and Sigourney Weaver are both like, they've both got some substance to them, if you know what I mean. They're not delicate little flowers. Sure,
but a lot of female wrestlers are tiny. And,
true.
and Gina Davis was an Olympic standard archer, you know, so she does have that physicality.
Yeah.
But just, you know, just as I don't kind of watch this film and think it's all men.
But it is all men.
Well, it is.
This is a man's movie.
Is there a third woman with a speaking role in this other than, what's her name? What's her name? I can't remember. Coleman, the journalist woman.
There's two women who get to
you
speak.
Got Bonnie, no, you haven't. You got Just the Facts.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah. Technically, and then you've also got the woman sitting next to her on the plane, and the steward, and the air hostess with steward. Yeah, but they're like one line each, aren't they?
We're just like British Rail, love. We'll get you there in the end. Yeah.
Cup of tea, governor.
Die or Two, featuring famous lines such as
you got the air steward on Bonnie Bedelia's plane, this plane.
Yeah.
Amen to that, Dick.
It's actually making quite a strong feminist statement, isn't it? I'd forgotten.
But this is meant to be like, you know, men shooting each other.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
like,
That's
the
all it
thing.
is. Yeah.
Yep. If you were to remake this now, you can guess the casting changes that would take place. There is no way that the head of the air traffic control would be a man now. And I'm not having a complaint about it. I'm just noting how different it would be now. That would definitely be a woman now.
No, they did it in Carry On. That's literally this film, and there's still the ratio between men and women is the exact same.
No, there's a woman in Carry On who's really good, isn't there?
His wife. She's with the straight hair, the straightest hair you've ever seen in every scene.
Who I couldn't work out what her job was, because she seemed to be at different points. She seemed to be like working at a concession stand at the airport and running the airport. I never figured out what her job was.
And he acts a bit dodgy, even though they're like a couple. And she immediately takes everyone else's side and assumes that he's a maniac. And it's just, Carry On is absolute fucking dog shit. I hated it in real time, like as it was happening, it was like, oh my God, I fucking hate this. And we wouldn't know if there wasn't already this movie, which is a masterpiece.
I love the photo they've got
do.
of Atherton.
Yeah. It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. There's some women in this bar. A lot of men though, right?
It's a bit of a sausage fest.
Now I can't stop looking at the background characters, and they are largely men, even though you think it should be pretty much 50-50, right?
They were like, who wants to be in a Die Hard film?
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
Women haven't seen it. They're like not interested. I love this shot here though when he just turns around and just bam, just shoots them all, and like, you idiot, they're blanks.
They've got really good chemistry.
What sets off the metal detectors first?
Oh yeah, the lead in your...
The lead in your ass and the shit in your ears. It's just like, well, shh.
It's a good like face off between those two. It's brilliant.
They work really well together. I think they've got a real... because they're both kind of very New York as well, aren't they? As people and characters, I suppose.
You got to shout to get your point across.
I mean, they would have murdered him. They all got their guns out and he's firing for like 5 seconds. It's just like, they would have murdered him.
Yeah, he'd have been dropped on the spot if that had been real.
It's time to kick ass.
Yeah.
It's like Hiroshima. Oh, no one would be paying any attention, would they, in real life?
What, to the news?
How this started was someone on the news kind of said there's a problem at the airport, and then the entire airport went quiet and turned to look at the screen. No one's going to notice or hear. Or
Well, I don't know. Do you remember that Kevin Spacey Christmas video he did where he got on the telly like a Bond villain? The whole pub went quiet and we were all like, is that Kevin Spacey acting like a Bond villain?
Another one was in the kitchen making some food.
That one.
That one was it? Yeah.
It came out on Christmas Eve. I think it came out on Christmas
so
Eve.
Weird, wasn't it?
And we all stopped in the pub at Christmas Eve and went, fucking hell.
where was the pub? Was it in London or?
It was in St Albans.
Okay, I've got a theory that it's like city people anywhere. You just can't phase them. I was in. Do you know the Sherlock Holmes by Embankment in London?
Yes.
So I was in there, and about 200 yards away, there was a terrorist attack on London Bridge. It was when a couple of people were murdered. And it was literally 200 yards away, and they closed the road outside the pub. You couldn't go out. So someone turned it on the TV in the pub, and immediately everyone started shouting, "Put the fucking snooker back on!" And the farmer's like, "This is happening outside. Snooker!"
Oh, wow. Well, that's ironic for a pub called...
It's better than when he sees his brother. It's so good.
Carmine, is that his name?
Yeah.
Carmine.
Oh, they just straight away. It's like complete chaos.
I don't know how many movies we've commentated on with that guy in it. Do you know the name of the guy who's Joey's dad in Friends? Because the number of times we've been commentating on something and I've said, that's Joey's dad in Friends. Like,
Well,
he's
he's evil Danny DeVito, isn't he?
Yeah. Or Cuddly Dennis Franz.
Sure. But what else is he in?
Oh, it's what was it? I can't remember his name now. Oh, it's Dennis France.
No, that's the main. Oh no, yeah, he's Carmine, isn't he? No, the brother who's the traffic guy.
Oh, right.
I love it. He's looking in the mirror about how great he is. But also, it's great for filming in an enclosed space.
Yeah.
Dick.
Oh, and his eyes are open there. Is he dead?
No. He's paralysed.
He's dead.
He's probably shat himself as well, you know.
Yeah, the little wee.
It's all come out of him.
They should be smoking a massive cigar, not one of those thin ones. It should be a big turd-sized one.
Christ.
Fucking hell. Spruce goose, you know.
It's impressive, isn't it?
Get in, Smithers. It's like... That's it, get in.
This film feels huge. I can absolutely... Look at the amount of extras they've got. Look, it's huge. You know, they filled an airport with extras. This film does not look cheap.
Yeah, it's feeling bigger. Now I'm thinking about it. It does feel big. But, like, does it feel bigger than the movie like Rambo 3, for example?
Yes.
With all that Russian army out in the desert.
No, Rambo 3's huge, isn't it?
Yeah, because it shoots so much wide. You can see the scope of the action. It's just so over the top.
And they built that entire Russian camp as well.
Yeah, mental. But do you think Die Hard 3 is bigger than this?
Die Hard 3 feels bigger than this to me, but...
Only because it's sort of an unrestrained location.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? Yeah,
it's because it's got loads of locations, and you're like, oh yeah, sure, but I mean, they're short scenes. I don't know. This just feels like it feels more intense, I think. Die Hard 3 is like where it really kind of like pushes, like, oh, he's surfing on top of a garbage truck, and
I think number 3 really sort of opened the door for the characters to do more stuff. You know what I mean? You could just now you now had the free reign to sort of put him somewhere else and still be Die Hard, but it won't be sort of confined. It has to be in a build or whatever confined
3 and
area.
4 are John McClane movies to me. They're not
Yeah.
Die Hard movies.
well,
really.
yeah, but with the third one, they're brave enough to kind of do something different with the character. You know, he's like a washed-up alcoholic. He's got PTSD. His marriage has fallen apart.
His intro scene is brilliant in the back of that police van, where he really, really does look like he's broken, hungover, completely wasted.
Yeah.
Well, that's the one that really expands upon his character. This one doesn't really have time to do that.
Well, the fourth one does a lot more of that in a way, because it brings his kids into it much more, doesn't it?
The idea number 4, he's kind of out of time, isn't he?
He's an analog man in a digital age.
There we go. Yeah.
But what do you think of the fourth one? I quite like it.
Oh, I love it, yeah.
I love number 4. Number 4 could have benefited being a little bit more violent. That was it. It was kind of it felt watered down, but the action was really well done.
He's not really John McClane without the hair.
Yeah, he needs the receding hair and wife beater shirt. You know?
But But I think that, you know, it's much better than it has any right to be.
Very underrated, I think. I think it's a shame people don't really talk about it much.
It's got a weak bad guy.
Yeah.
And it's kind of got a really loose premise. And it's Die Hard 4, and you can't even say, well, it's Die Hard on a... You know what I mean? It's just like, what is it?
Yeah. Because the problem is, when you've got a villain who's like a tech guy, you know, you can't really put a big muscle-bound buff dude. It's always going to be some...
I watched it again recently, and I think he's quite... I like that actor, which helps, Timothy Olyphant. But I don't think he was. He wasn't as weak as I remembered him. I think a lot of this problem is that he's coming after two anyway, of the best bad guys in the movies, really, with Die Hard 1 and Die Hard 3.
And I suppose the way that it's split over this film is kind of, you don't have one central bad guy that you're rooting against, you know?
Well, that was kind of my problem with it. So you have too many kind of guys to sort of handle.
Yeah, but it doesn't feel like, Batman and Robin, where it's overstuffed with shit. Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's true.
It feels all organic.
Die Hard, McClane facing up against one main villain, I think it's what works best.
Yeah, I think rather than there being too many villains, they've made the mistake of not giving one of them enough screen time. Because arguably, if there is a downside, William Sadler doesn't have...
That's what I said earlier, and you poo-pooed that.
Yeah, but you wrapped it up in a whole lot of irrational criticisms. Honestly.
And I also don't think we're agreeing with you, Oliver.
Certainly not.
I think that what we're saying is all of these bad guys are great, and but it's split across them. But also, it hadn't been established at that point, that we need one bad guy. They went back to that, but in actual fact, I find the Gruber connection even more hard to believe than all of the coincidences in this film.
The fact that he would go to all that trouble of setting up that robbery and then just blow it all out of spite, when a guy that logical and calm and with it, he shouldn't be subject to resentment and spite and shit like that. He should go, well, that was just something that happened.
He has migraine, so he's got an issue.
Oh, completely.
Are you talking about Jeremy Irons?
Yeah.
Jeremy's Iron.
I do love him in that, though. I didn't like him originally, but he's very much grown on me. But maybe they were thinking, like, well, Rickman was so freaking good in that first movie, we can't just have a like for like, we can't just swap him out for another one like him. We're going to have to do something different and have three of them or whatever.
Yeah. It's a shame that Charles Dance didn't get to play a die-hard villain, you know what I mean? He's amazing Last Action Hero, one of the best parts of it, and he would have made a great villain for that series.
In the real world, the bad guys can win.
If that little turd, Danny Maniger, can go through parallel worlds, I can go through parallel worlds.
Such a weird film. This is it. Come on. I think I'm 5 seconds behind you. In he goes.
Yeah.
There we go. Lovely.
There should have been a lot more blood there.
Yeah.
It's like issue when you have a bird fly through that, it takes out the engine.
It explodes, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's no way that jet's carrying on going.
This is so good. It all ties together.
There's some great stunt doubles here coming up with Bruce Willis.
Look at that. The plane is moving. How do they film this bit? Is it?
Yeah, I'm trying to work out how they pieced all this together, because they had like a big section of the fuselage and a wing in a hangar that they shot the fight on, and they had a plane.
Do you think they're just towing the plane along?
Yeah, towing it along. Yeah. But also you've got the close-ups, all this stuff, that'll be done on the set, and then you've got the bits where it's not even moving, like here, the wides, the medium shots, and then the total wide shots, it's moving, stunt doubles. That's what you've got to do.
Right.
Just got to shoot it 3 times, basically.
They had a lot of trouble with the FAA though, because they wouldn't let them bring a plane to a halt on a runway with snow on it for some reason.
That's weird, isn't it? It's a weird
So
rule.
apparently there was a whole bunch of stuff they couldn't do. Oh, that's bad. Was that rear projection or something?
That bit? Oh, sorry, I'm 5 seconds behind. Yeah.
So I think they had a lot of trouble shooting this, basically, more than they expected.
Well, more than they expected. What were they expecting? He hasn't smelt the fuel. He hasn't.
They think you'd be getting wet by that. Here we go. He's going to light it. Doesn't he? Because Michael Kamen, obviously, was told to sort of reprise all his themes. He was never a fan of action movies, despite composing loads of action scores. Well, all his scores he did were very, not traditional action scores. They're always kind of somewhat slightly unique.
Did he do Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves?
He did, yeah.
Have you seen the extras on that when he's talking about it?
Yeah.
Oh, he looks a lot like Rob Bottin, doesn't he? They've got kind of
he?
they're
He's got a big beard and big hair. And
he's got the same sort of nose and face. They kind of
But the score for this is because he obviously woven in Beethoven for the Ode to Joy, wasn't it? For
Lens flare.
I thought you meant he did the dog
first one.
movie. Amazing.
But he
Just
changed-
amazing.
He used a different tune for this one. Look at that miniature.
Look, amazing explosion. Absolutely great. Yeah, fuck you, bad guys.
So that was
Yeah.
like a 20-foot miniature or something, was it?
Yeah, it's
Incredible.
massive.
He said yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is changed to Yippee-ki-yay Mr. Falcon in the original American version, because apparently Franco Nero's code name is Falcon, which Bruce Willis, John McClane wouldn't have known, but...
And also, he fucked his mother, and he found it. He said, "Can you change that? It's a bit too close to home." But what's good about it, this yippee-ki-yay motherfucker, is that he's used it in the right place. In Die Hard, he says it when he's going through a door, and in this, it's like, nah, you say it just before you kill the. I was going to say a rude word.
Just before you kill the Falcon, that's when you say it. Doesn't he say it somewhere really stupid in Die Hard 3 as well?
Yeah, it kind of
It is.
isn't as good.
It's like, he's got to say it, but there's nowhere that makes sense for him to say it, so he just kind of does it.
It's the reshoot of the ending, isn't it, where he shoots the helicopter.
Oh yeah, right.
The power line to hit the helicopter blade and it
Right.
spins,
And in the fourth one, they weren't allowed to say motherfucker, so he does it on the gun. He shoots himself.
So that's the problem. You've got to have that swear word in it. You can't. That's if it's a 12 rating, you can have one F word, right? One F bomb.
But not a
That's when-
motherfucker, I don't think. Or motherfuckers are trickier.
Yeah.
Motherfucker is a really bad word. You're not allowed to say motherfucker.
And I think it depends as well. I think whether it's like an aggressive derogatory thing, or whether it's like conversational.
Conversational. Oh, he's just a motherfucker,
You're allowed to say mother and fucker, but you're not allowed to say it
The
together.
same sentence.
Yeah. And I love the music here when it's all
Yeah.
it feels very much like the end of Airplane with the inflatable, the inflatable pilot coming along. Look at the smoke twirls. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful,
really, really beautiful.
It's a beautiful looking film. It's got it's a very grey looking film, but they make it look really beautiful. I think it's brilliant.
It's like it's got a weird mixture of warm and cold somehow.
Yeah.
It's the end of the disaster movie. The troops have all turned up. Everyone's cheering. The music's going. It's like, and you feel brilliant at the end of this film.
Well, we do. I don't know how Ollie feels.
I'm happy. It's fine.
Yeah. Sorry, Ollie.
I just think the story's far better in number 3 and 4. Number two's fine. It's not a bad sequel. It's not a bad action movie. It delivers on a lot of what you expect from the genre, and it's like I think the story just isn't quite as interesting as the other ones, and it was kind of rushed into production, and that's why if it was left a little bit longer, maybe they could have made it a little bit more interesting. But I like the concept of it.
Couldn't be more interesting if it tried.
Stubborn Rob.
I think this is the gold standard. I think this is the gold standard of action sequels. It's familiar. I don't think it's the same but different. I think it's familiar, and it does loads of things different from the first film. And there's fan service in it that calls it back. Like getting Bruce and Bonnie Bedelia back together at the end is kind of you've wanted that for the whole film.
If I'm honest, I think I prefer this to Terminator 2.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. I prefer Terminator to Terminator 2.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Same here. Yeah.
But I think Terminator 2 is like one of them objectively greatest sequels of all time.
Yeah,
But you feel like you're being told off for half of it. and this is just fun. Do you know what I mean? This is just sort of
Exactly. This has got more of a sense of humour. It's not. This isn't as stiff. There's something I've always thought a bit stiff somehow about Terminator 2.
Well, it's
And
serious.
this is, yeah, it's very kind of rigid in a way. I don't know, hard to explain, but this is just like, it's just perfect. What more do you want from a movie than this?
In amongst the explosions of Terminator 2, he's telling you that explosions are bad, right? and this is just sort of like, nah, this is what it's about, you know? This is a popcorn movie, and Terminator 2 is trying to make you think at the same time.
Yeah, yeah.
The old lady. She's got no shoes on.
Does she?
Asshole. She just stepped on him.
Like Han Solo in the special editions.
Yeah, on Jabba's stepped on William Atherton's tail.
She should have tasered him again.
Yeah.
Right in the balls.
Here he is. I'm glad they cut off that bit when he sort of blackmailed Marv, you know. It makes John McClane an arsehole.
It really reflects badly on Marv too. He doesn't come off as a particularly likeable character from the deleted scenes, and he's really boring too. They just go on. The scenes just go on for too long. They've only got the same shtick that Marv does, so that's all it is. It just goes on for ages.
Now, if they did a new Die Hard film, right? I say, well, if it's Die Hard 5 included this song at the end, you think people would be so annoyed?
Fan service.
Fan service.
Yeah.
See, at the time, everyone was fine. It's fine with it. But if it was now in a sequel,
but everyone has since decided that the very concept of a sequel is apparently just horrendously wrong and shouldn't. The only reason sequels are ever made is as fan service.
Yep.
Yeah, but there's different ways of doing it, isn't there? I think this has got enough. Well, it doesn't grate on my nerves like Predators, you know, where it's like they get the machine gun and they say you're one ugly motherfucker. It doesn't. This doesn't annoy me. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker, is John McClane's catchphase.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. That's what John McClane says. So have him say it.
And like I say, I think all the coincidences. They flag up that they're coincidences, but it doesn't ruin the film for me.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what it is? You know, getting William Atherton in it, that's a bit of fan service, but he's a legitimate character in the movie. They're getting the team back together, and I think the only one that feels really out of place is Al, because why isn't he in the whole film?
Yeah, it is. I think it is really hard to make a case for the coincidence. The fact that Bonnie Bedelia's on that plane and the fact that William Atherton's on it too, they're two coincidences that go too far to be taken seriously. But every frickin' movie has coincidences like that. It's how movies work a lot of the time. And the point is, you don't worry about it, I don't worry about it because I'm enjoying the movie too much.
But also, they're flying into Washington from Los Angeles for Christmas. It's not that kind of unbelievable.
Why was McClane in Washington? Wasn't he a New York based cop?
Well, he's an LA cop in this movie.
Yeah.
But he's visiting his in-laws, isn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So he was a New York cop in LA because he thought that his wife would fail and come back. And in this one, he's had to.
He's been in the NYPD in 1, 3, and 4, but he's actually in the LAPD in this movie.
Yeah, because he's moved to be with his wife.
Yeah, he's followed her, and yeah, literally. So he's not on holiday there. He's transferred.
In the first one, he thinks she's going to fail and come back to New York. And in this one, he's moved to Los Angeles because she's fucking brilliant, you know?
And then in the third one, presumably, he's left her in Los Angeles and gone back to New York.
Well, I think she's left him.
Or that way, yeah. Yeah. How you could leave him?
He's let his work get in the way, hasn't he? He's become obsessed with the job.
Have you seen the way he squints through cigarette smoke? I couldn't leave that, and I'm straight.
Oh God. Oh, I love him so much. I bought his album, The Return of Bruno.
Oh, really?
And it's brilliant. He's got Under the Boardwalk on it.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
I love Bruce. It's so sad about him now, but he's like an amazing movie. He's got the charisma of Schwarzenegger, but he's got like the acting. He's probably like the closest to Burt Reynolds or someone, you know.
Well, I think he's got a really unique air because he's he's kind of butch, but he's also got a weird vulnerability that someone like Burt Reynolds does not have.
Oh, I don't know. Burt Reynolds in Deliverance is vulnerable. I think Burt Reynolds is an all rounder. He does.
I think you'll find Ned Beatty's the vulnerable one in Deliverance.
But Burt Reynolds is sort of like a Cary Grant, isn't he? Where he can do everything. He can do light comedy. He can do action. And I think Bruce Willis is kind of in that mould. I've never thought about it before, but he's more in that mould than the Schwarzenegger.
They can play very similar characters, but you're not going to get Burt Reynolds, like the bit in Die Hard when he's on the phone to Al and he realises he might. I think he's fixing his feet in the toilet at the time, and he's like, "I might not. You got to tell my wife." And he's like breaking up, and it's really believable. That Burt Reynolds wouldn't. That's not Burt Reynolds.
I don't know. I think Burt Reynolds is underrated, but I'd also say...
Oh, no, he's great. I love him, but...
In amongst all of this stuff, Bruce Willis is making Death Becomes Her, and he's completely different in that, and he's brilliant. Bruce Willis is, just brilliant.
I think like that, The Fifth Element is one of my favourite performances of Bruce's, because he's got the tough guy, but he could do the comedy really well.
He had but he also spattered into the 90s some absolute shit, didn't he? Like,
was it the Colour of
Money, Striking Distance, Mercury Rising, North,
fucking North, where he plays a pink rabbit. But then we haven't even mentioned Pulp Fiction. We haven't even mentioned Pulp Fiction or 12 Monkeys.
That's two great as one as well. I mean, 12 Monkeys mentioned earlier, but that's a lead for him. Pulp Fiction is more of a... It's
another completely different character. It's a very different performance and role, and a really good performance.
But also it legitimised him as well, I think at the time Bruce Willis was the Die Hard guy and the sequels guy, and he's made some real shit, and people really hammered him for Hudson Hawk for years, and Last Boy Scout was considered horrible, and then and like I say, he's like playing against type and stuff like North, but by the time he gets to Pulp Fiction, he almost has the same transformation as John Travolta. It sort of legitimises him, and you kind of go, no, he is prepared to not just make the most expensive movies ever made, but go back and kind of like pay his dues and make like indie movies.
Yeah. No, it is a terrible shame what's happened to him, really, because he's special, isn't he? To our generation, especially.
It's so funny for years, because everyone all heard about the stories about him through Kevin Smith, how rude Bruce Willis was. And Bruce Willis hates the fans who approach him to talk about Die Hard. But we sort of, see how in reality, what he's gone through. It's heartbreaking, No one wants to see your favourite action heroes in that state.
It's not right, is it?
What was it? My friend filmed an advert with him once. They filmed in Bulgaria, and it was like a 5-day shoot, and he didn't talk to anyone, and it was just on set the whole time. On the first day, somebody knocked over some pens. It was filmed in an office, and someone knocked over a pot of pens, and then they filmed for 5 days, and on the last day he didn't say anything to anyone, and the last day he turned around to my friend and he went, "Remember the pens?"
Well, I'd always love Stallone's outburst about Bruce Willis being greedy lazy.
But then
Greedy lazy.
But he didn't. But he knew he was ill at that point, right? And he was just trying to make as much money from his projects as he could while he was going.
I probably think so.
Yeah, that's absolutely what happened. I think Stallone, when the news came out, Stallone felt really shit about it, because he was like, "Oh right."
Well, so did Kevin Smith. That's why I think he removed a lot of his podcasts and stuff like that.
Right, yeah.
But anyway, folks, that's the end of the commentary. What are we doing next, Tats? Are we doing Covenant next? Are we going to punish ourselves through that?
Nick's face.
It's just
he strokes his beard.
What is there to?
I tell you what, Ollie, I assumed we'd be doing it, and so I put it on to watch the other day, and I turned it off halfway through. I just couldn't deal with it. I just couldn't handle it.
Oh dear. Well.
I'm happy to do it, but there will be a lot of complaining.
Well, people like complaining, don't they?
I make a rule that I watch it until the fingering scene and then I switch it off.
Oh, right. Okay.
I hate Covenant. I'll watch Covenant. But I really love Die Hard 2. I just think Die Hard 2 is, like I said, I think it's the gold standard of movie sequels. Die Hard with a Vengeance kind of like tries to reinvent what they've got. But Die Hard 2 is like, let's take what we've got and make it, die harder. And it is,
It's also kind of one of the last of that era, whereas Die Hard 3 feels like one of the first of what would come, in the later 90s. That Die Hard 2 feels like an 80s movie still, just a bit more polished.
It's got the 90s gloss, but it's a hangover from the 80s. Whereas, Pulp Fiction had come out by the time Die Hard with a Vengeance came out, and there's Samuel L. Jackson's in it. There's smoking cigarettes and watching Captain Kangaroo. There's this, he says that in Die Hard with a Vengeance, and they play it in Pulp Fiction. There's lots of like little crossover bits. So yeah, Die Hard with a Vengeance is like almost like got indie sensibilities. But Die Hard 2 is the big shiny sequel blockbuster movie. It's a crowd pleaser.
It's a big stupid bastard of a movie, and they're great.
In a way that Die Hard isn't. Die Hard is kind of like a really tense, claustrophobic, tight thriller.
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, there's a lot of disaster movie in it, but it's closer to a thriller than a traditional action movie, to my mind, Die Hard.
Yeah.
Okay, chaps, before we go, rate the Die Hard films. We can exclude number 5 doesn't count. No one ever counts.
Die Hard 5 is my favourite.
No, that's not true. You're lying.
I'm leaving.
Come on.
I think. Well, I think. Okay, right. What do you think?
Die Hard 1, number 1. Die Hard 1. Then it goes 3, 4, and 2 for me.
3, 4, 2.
Yeah.
They go in the order they were released for me. It's very simple.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I saw Die Hard 3. Die Hard 3 was the first one I could see at the cinema. So I saw that about 2 or 3 times at the cinema, and it was such an amazing experience. I loved it. It's probably a bit too long. It gets a bit baggy about 40 minutes towards the end, and it's like, yeah, wrap it up now. But so I would say, yeah, Die Hard 2, probably in order of release. But I'd say Die Hard and Die Hard with a Vengeance are maybe joint first, and then Die Hard 2 is a really close second.
They're much higher up for me, yeah, because there's that nostalgic element that I don't have for any of the others.
They don't hang together as a trilogy for me like the Alien films, weirdly. Alien 1, 2 and 3 feel like a trilogy. Die Hard 1, 2 and 3 feel like a franchise that's kind of reinventing itself and trying to find its feet in a environment that's completely been diluted by Steven Seagal. Under Siege 2 was a Die Hard film on a train, and that's a sequel to a rip-off. It's kind of they were just sort of like having to think on their feet and reinvent themselves.
There are 2 in which Ice-T plays a special forces person who boards a plane in mid-flight. This is not a subgenre with a lot of imagination.
Right. Yeah, but that's the imagination was in the original premise, and then it became a cliche.
Well, folks, hope you enjoyed the commentary. Me and the lads will be back with either something alien related. Maybe we could do Predators, or we could do Die Hard 3. I don't mind. I'm easy.
But let's just get Covenant out of the way.
Okay, cool. No
but
problem.
I'm not going to watch it in advance.
No, don't. No one needs to do that.
I'm going to criticise it in real time because I'm not wasting my life twice.
In real time, like Carry On.
What a terrible film.
Take care, everyone, and goodbye.
Bye.